Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 576 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Here
I
on
think so.
the Cryo Network. Yeah. If you're listening at home, you can tell I was sort of hesitating and looking at Mr. Grizzly with inquisitive eyes. Did I get it right?
I think so.
I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And with me is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Today, recording day is, oh, well, what do you know? It's Friday. February. It's been a week. February 7th, 2025. And it's looks like it's gonna be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? I said that already, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Oh God, I'm looping around.
That's okay. I'm
a little too excited. I'm actually looping around because I'm very, very, very excited. I didn't put on the Santa hat, but the Christmas bonnet may be making an appearance today. I'm a very excited beaver. A big thank you goes to our podcast funding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. I just want to get into it. So, Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today?
Once I wake up, I'll let you know. I'm honest to goodness, just I'm a zombie this morning. So I think I'm okay. I honest to God, I just dragging my butt. Maybe a few buckets of this, and I'll be doing better. It's just
Right.
that's where we are.
I have a feeling, my good friend, that today's show will liven you up because there's been an incoming amount of news. And the first one we were hinting at yesterday with Doug Ford. But there are, I don't want to say, if there's an axis of something, I haven't found what the word is yet, axis of disloyalty or something going on. There's 3 people on that wheel right now, right? You got Pierre Poilièvre,
Right.
who still can't come to a mic and give a full-throated "I'm on Team Canada" type thing.
Of course not.
You got Danielle Smith, who can't come to a mic and can't give an "I'm fully on Team Canada, yes, even oil's on the table." And we have Doug Ford, who very cleverly, and this had a little marketing thing before the election that he called with the "Canada's not for sale" and put on the whole Captain Canada outfit. But turns out we don't exactly, we might not exactly know who Doug is. And how would I put it? The "aw shucks" folksy thing might have been a extremely good chameleon like outfit that he's been wearing, and he's been able to stick to a shtick
Yeah, the
quite well
folksy
for.
thing, he's been running from day one, right? He's always tried to, oh, shucks, folks, friends, folks. Hey, come on, let's cook some cheesecake and call me at my personal number.
Exactly. So we have a little situation developing with him. And Mr. Grizzly, I just sent you something because the absolutely fantastic and brilliant Theo Moudakis
Hmm.
may have delivered his best work ever. Truly captured the essence
Yes, I saw this.
of
I saw
Doug
this.
Ford. And this one had me saying publicly, like something like, "Oh, Theo." It's like, if I wasn't an already happily spoken for beaver and you were into interspecies romance,
Mm.
I would be proposing to you so hard right now.
Public
To
Doug
which he
Ford.
responded with some hard-sided beaver.
I'll describe the cartoon for the listeners. The public Doug Ford
Yes.
has Doug in a dress shirt and jacket, no tie, with the Canada is not for sale hat on. It's in the first panel. The second panel, it says, and he takes the hat off and stuffs his fist into it. The third panel says the private Doug Ford, where his hat says, Make America Great Again. And his thought bubble says, Love the reversible hat. I think that really describes exactly who Doug Ford is.
It is so perfect.
Yep.
Theo.
He's sunk on this one.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. So we're gonna go all through all three of them, Kits and Cubs, today, because I remember about 2 weeks ago when it seemed that we were most definitely getting a Prime Minister, Pierre Poilièvre. That was inevitable. Don't fight back against it. Just lie back and take it. It's going to happen. And then we were absolutely going to get another Premier, Doug Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's going to be inevitable. He's absolutely leading, and plus we had the whole media that was never covering anything whatsoever. Like this just happened. Really, you're not gonna write about it? Okay, fine. Just like that whole with Pierre Poilievre, that Harper video that came out where he tore a strip off Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has ever asked Pierre a question about it.
No, not once. Why is
at
that?
all.
Why is that?
It would seem really obvious, right? That you would in a world of journalism like ours, where, oh my God, he said this about you. How do you react? And it's like, did you check to see if what he said about me was true before you asked me that question? It's like Harper drops a full freaking video, and no one puts a mic in front of Pierre Poilievre's face and say, hey, do you agree with what your former boss said? Really?
No, the former being
well,
bit of a
former.
I mean, really.
In name only.
In name only. Yeah. We know he's pulling the strings.
Your former boss that still has his hand up your back. Yeah.
Well, as evidenced by what happened to John Baird after he praised on the Prime Minister.
He got a call.
He got a call because the very next day he's going, you misquoted me. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. We have
Look,
you on
John, we know you lie about who you are as a person. Fine. We don't care. But you can't lie to our faces when we saw you say what you said.
I'm not sure he lies about who he is as a person. He just doesn't volunteer. There's a difference.
You're right. He keeps it
because in his
under his hat.
In his votes, he has voted with the community.
Yes. He has.
His voting record is with it. He has not betrayed the community in that sense.
That is correct.
In that sense. He still worked for a guy who tried to dissolve the same-sex marriages of everybody who got married in Canada at the time where it wasn't available in a lot of places, but lived elsewhere. He did try to do that. And he did. That's the other thing about Harper, right? He campaigned on holding a vote to reverse same-sex marriage, and then realized how unpopular that was going to be. So he held a vote on whether or not we should reopen the discussion about whether or not we would want to instead. It's and that one failed. So, but he still campaigned on it and still opened the door to the possibility.
Oh yes,
right. So, so we have these three, right? So Doug Ford, as we showed you very, very brief little clip, and I don't know if you got to see it or enjoy it, Mr. Grizzly, because I know you had to go, of him at a press conference a couple of days ago, where I guess the questions started to get a little loud and hairy, and a lot of journalists might have been asking a lot at the same time, got overwhelming, and the answers were not satisfactory, and they were pressing him, and he decided to just pull the ripcord. Just pull the ripcord. You just hear the person that's monitoring the press conference say, okay, that's going to be the end of the press conference. And Doug Ford just like turns and walks away. And he's in this like big hollow sort of like hangar like thing. Looks like really, really, really high ceilings. And he's like, and it's all gray and concrete and whatnot. And he turns around and he's just starts lumbering towards the door as this sort of like campaign theme music, but at a really sort of ominous sounding part of it. He walks off to that. It was very villain like. And then since then, apparently, it seems that he has a few new policies, like, for example, all of a sudden, the man who appeared to have a lot to say, some
Mhm.
show that called an election so he could say it for 30 consecutive straight days, apparently no longer has that much to say. Just doesn't want to take more than 6 questions now in a certain order. I'm guessing that his people pick the order, so there'll probably be so a lot of those 6 questions would have some friendly questions in there to make a few of them go away.
Well, of
And
course, yes. You don't want to have anybody asking you anything unfriendly. Would he? It wasn't. Remember in Pierre Poilièvre's most recent presser, where his, yes, over here, True North. Yes, over here, Western Star. Yes, over here. Really? And the CBC reporter was getting pushed out of the line to ask his question, and he chastised her. Like, the man's a sexist, misogynist pig who will only respond to people who lean exactly the same way he does. He's not fit
yeah,
to be a leader. He's not. He can't take anything that's scrutinized about him. He turns into the neighborhood bully. I know you are, but what am I? I'm taking my ball and going home. He's a puke of a man. He's a smarmy, smug. Okay, I gotta get another coffee because I'm starting to get heated here, and I don't want to go off on another rant about that piece of shit. He doesn't deserve any headspace on me, so I'm just gonna push it off to the side. You continue while I get a coffee. I'll be back in a moment.
all right, but I understand your feelings. I do. I'm just I and do not mistake my happy and joyful demeanor, kids and cubs, for not sharing those same feelings. I do, but I just, um, if revenge is a dish best served cold, there might be a lot of Swanson dinner eaten coming up. Um, but yes, according to Newmarket today, Trillium Talk. Doug Ford will not take your questions now. Welcome to a special edition of Trillium Talk, your must-see briefing from Village Media's team of journalists at the Ontario Legislature. And then it keeps on going and says, on the show today is reporter Alan S. Hale, who covered Doug Ford's campaign stop in Pickering on Wednesday afternoon. As always, Hale had a question to ask the PC leader, but was abruptly cut off because Ford's campaign has suddenly decided to limit media questions to 6 per press conference for the remainder of the election campaign. Trust us, our reporters will keep trying. Interesting. Now, it seems that in addition to this 6-question policy, there is word has been given to certain candidates to not show up to debates. Yes. And we know how I feel about that, kids and cubs. You know how I feel about anybody interfering with the right of the public not only to vote, but to cast a fully informed vote. And you know that my bias is no debate, no vote. Right? By Jessica Smith Cross and Aurelia Matters. Ontario Progressive Conservatives will be out knocking on doors in this cold campaign, but don't expect to see them inside on the debate stage. This is from just a day ago. Yeah. A source working on a local PC campaign told the Trillium that, quote, it's against party policy for their candidates to participate in local candidates' debates. It's against party policy for candidates to participate in local candidates' debates. Wow, that's some hell of message control. When asked to confirm or deny this, a Doug Ford campaign spokesperson said only that, quote, Ontario PC candidates will spend every day of the campaign at people's doors speaking to voters about our plan to protect Ontario. Okay, and how about the evening when debates can be held? How about then? Not a new strategy for the party. It's the same rationale Ford and party officials used in the 2022 campaign in response to media questions about local PC candidates' absences from debates. For instance, after the PC candidate in Guelph missed 4 debates, his campaign manager told Guelph Today, it's more important that we're meeting people. We're knocking on doors, meeting people and telling them what our plans are, Bob Cool said at the time. Yes, let's tell people our plans one by one so you can't compare what you said to the guy next door. So you can promise everybody what they want, and nobody can check against someone else. Yeah, okay. Huh. This time around, Cool is the PC candidate. It comes as the PCs announced a new media strategy on Wednesday. Leader Doug Ford will only take questions from 6 reporters per press conference. Children reporter Alan S. Hale was among the reporters who attended Ford's media availability in Pickering, but didn't get a turn at the microphone before questions were cut off, and Ford left the room. After a journalist with Halton Hills Today noted that a local Tory candidate has declined debate invitations, Hale went to the press conference intending to ask Ford if the PC candidates would be participating in local debates in this election. He tried to do so as the premier left, but did not receive an answer. Here, Mr. Grizzly, if you would, it's going to probably take a couple seconds for that, but this article here actually has a clip of that actually happening. So I will send that to you because it was kind of the clip that we showed yesterday had a first bit and then they cut in time and then fast forwarded to something else. So I'm guessing that this one will actually show the actual exchange. But yeah, so only 6 questions. They probably get to pick the order. And local candidates are not allowed to participate in local debates. Again, I ask, what's the over under on Doug Ford actually showing up for the debate this time around?
You think he might just pay the fine and skip out?
This is not good. This is not good at all. Now, how would I put it? So that's the Doug Ford part, and we might have a little more on him in that there is a couple of bits from that actual press conference when he was asked those questions that I would like to show you, because how would I put it? It's bad, and then there's like, oh my God, like this is so bad. And the oh my God part is when an event happens, I guess, and the first question you are going to be asked is so obvious, right? Oh crap, we just found out that so-and-so got caught stealing $100,000 out of something.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be asked about that tomorrow. What are we going to say? You have people that you pay a lot of money to prepare a response to that. And you got people that can actually be in a room with you and simulate a scrum or whatnot where you're being asked this question pops up, and I know that because I've actually done that. I've been one of these people,
Right.
in part of a team, going to see people like this. Okay, this is a panel discussion. This is how it goes. Okay, this is a scrum. This is how it
Mhm.
goes, right? And coaching people and saying, no, you don't do that. This is what you do, and this is how you shape your message, and that type of thing. And this was the best that they were able to come up with, which is very, very concerning. I don't know what you have highlighted there, Mr.
It
Grizzly?
says a
Yes.
source working on local PC campaign told the Trillium that it's, in quotes, against party policy, in quotes, for their candidates to participate in local candidates' debates.
Yeah, I had highlighted that while you were gone to get a coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's but that it caught your eye too,
Yeah.
right?
It's like,
It's not just me.
what?
Exactly. It's like, what? Huh?
When asked
Cool.
to confirm or deny this, a Doug Ford campaign spokesperson said only the Ontario PC candidates will spend every day of the campaign at people's doors speaking to voters about our plan to protect Ontario. It's
Mhm.
not a new strategy for the party. Their plan to protect Ontario. So you're going to remove Doug Ford? Because that's how we can protect Ontario.
Mm.
Like, what? Oh my goodness. I'm remiss to think that I don't know if I could come up with something more ridiculous.
There's a clip below that I sent it to you for you to show the
Yeah,
kids.
I've got it. I'm just doing it up here.
Okay.
Bear with me for a moment.
I thought you had just closed the article and we're moving on.
No. I have to get it set up. So, some things we do backstage, and that's a backstage thing. I'll put a link to the article in the chat here, and then I will bring up the clip. So we will show you the clip because it's like, you haven't seen this. It's, here we go.
This will be the last reporter.
What? Why? There's so many other people here.
People around the world and down in the U.S. than it is with other provinces and territories. But thank you.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to stop it before we get a violation for whatever the hell that music was. Did anybody ever tell Doug Ford it's rude to walk away from people when they're talking to you? Just turn your back and walk away. It's rude to do that, Doug.
Well, it's even more rude to have people show up to a press conference and right in the middle of the press conference, somebody just sit down and say, that's the end. What is, oh yeah, we have a 6-question policy now.
Yeah, that's horse shit.
Oh.
A 6-question policy.
Well, Pierre's got a 4, right? And Harper had the 5.
Yeah.
It's like, whereas most people like turn around and say, like this, we've got 20 minutes for questions now, or we got 30 minutes, or we just have, and sometimes you have unlimited time for questions. Like remember that Karina Gold one where she stood up, she said, she made a little thing. Goes, okay, now questions. And they went just like that. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Ask me questions. And she stayed until there were no more questions.
Nothing to hide.
Right?
I will stay and answer all your questions, whatever they may be. I have X number of minutes.
Yeah, sometimes you have no time, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes like the prime minister says, I can't take any questions because I'm going to a 1:30 thing right away. Now sometimes people schedule things strategically when they don't want to take questions.
Yes,
for that type of thing as well, right?
Of course, and he's guilty of that too.
Oh yeah, everybody's guilty of that. But it's like most of your standard is usually about 20 to 25 minutes or so. Afterwards, sometimes the questions are exhausted before, but but that's usually about a standard amount of time that people will have. And then there's a question, there's a subject that's that big, and you don't have anything planned. And some people stand like this. So when you have politicians who now and then stand to take all questions until they actually are exhausted, well, sometimes they can't. When they do, every now and then, you have someone who's actually trying to be transparent.
Have you gotten your spam text from Doug Ford yet?
Not yet. But I did get them from Team Pierre a couple of times.
Well, I got them last night. How much? And I asked the question: how much money did they spend to send this out? My number is an unlisted, hidden, and it's a shoe phone. I feel this is an invasion of privacy. So Doug Ford here, and help me to protect Ontario's jobs and our economy from Trump's tariffs. Reply yes to back the PC team stop to stop. And I replied, not in a million years, you corrupt Trump-loving turncoat. And then I reported it as spam and blocked the number.
Wow.
Hey, ain't fucking around.
No, trust me, I'm good. I am good with that. I've never responded to one of those things like that. I just sort of like look at it and roll my eyes, and it's like, oh, honey. It's like it's for me being solicited by conservative organizations for a donation is like when I'm on Twitter and I keep on getting those female presenting porn bat ads.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really, AI, you haven't figured it out yet by the number of times I put a rainbow. Like, that's really okay. I'm starting to feel a little insulted now.
I need to interrupt the flow for just a moment. Something we've been remiss to not acknowledge or even talk about because there's been so much news. So much news that we can barely keep up, but something that we need to make mention of, and I know it's near and dear to your heart, sir. What month are we in?
February.
Mm-hmm. What's significant about that?
It's Valentine's Day.
Black History Month.
Oh yes, of course.
We completely,
Sorry, I'm first about the love.
Yeah.
First about the love.
Yeah, no, it's just there's just so
Yes.
much news we've not been able to keep up. So we will do a show dedicated.
I don't even know. I to be totally honest, I didn't think about it at all. Actually, I saw the date today and I said, "Oh my god, we're already the 7th."
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, I listen. Put it this way. I didn't think of Black History Month
Mhm.
this year, and I'm part black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how much.
This is how
freaking
overwhelming everything is right now. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe this year. It's been so long. It's like it's February.
We're finally emancipated. I didn't think about it this year.
Well, the way things are going south of our border.
There's nothing like an existential crisis to make all your other troubles go away. I don't know, man. Jeez. Holy Christ. Sorry. Pardon my language on that one. All right. Mr. Grizzly, I'm going to send you the CPAC thing of Doug Ford's disastrous outing. Now, is this one yeah, this is good. Yeah. So basically, there's nothing really. I mean, the announcement is substantive. This is the one where he announces that they're going to upload the Ottawa LRT to the province, and that there's been other promises, like I think Merritt Stiles of the Ontario NDP. They're promising to upload public transit costs. I think for 50% of public transit costs, but all across the province where there is something. And I'm not sure where the Liberal policy is on that specifically. But the Ford one, from what I know, this one is applying to the LRT only. I don't know if it's LRT in Eglinton, Crosstown, or some other things. Or
they just want to hand it all to Metro.
But this one is just LRT at the moment. And for those in Canada who are not aware, one of the cool things is that to pay our fares, we can pay them by credit card, but there's also a fare card called a Presto card. And the Presto card system works for all the GO Train system, the TTC system, and the Ottawa system. I don't know if it works for other cities or whatnot, but in Ottawa, at least, when you go to Toronto, yes, you can use the same fare card. So you're not like fumbling and trying to, what are the tickets in this other city, and have to make sure that I have enough tokens or all that kind of stuff. So in that sense, it is convenient and very seamless.
Do you have a start time for this? Or just
yes, let's go to 11:30 in it,
11:30
around there. So basically, there's nothing too much about the announcement that was particularly exciting, except for that, and it's pretty local if you live in Ottawa. But we get to the questions, and the first question. Now, this is the day after the hot mic news story pops up. The first question, it's going to be, right? All right, let's see what he does with it. Kids and Cubs, this is with all night to prepare.
Cool.
Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Mr. Ford, Ian Bailey from the Globe and Mail. We've all seen the hot mic footage of you talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Bonnie Crombie's team has cut an ad and put that out there. I wonder if you could tell us, why did you support Mr. Trump ahead of the election when it was clear he was going to target Canada with tariffs?
Well, you know something, I always believe in working with anyone. And yeah, on the hot mic, yeah, he makes me swear once in a while. I think he makes a lot of people swear in this country.
That's not what we're referring to, Doug.
I thought it'd be a little different, a little change, but obviously he decided to pull the knife out and stab us. And when I'm there, my number one job is to protect Ontario, to protect Canadians. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I will fight with every single tool I have in our toolbox to make sure we defend the people of Ontario and in return defend the people of Canada.
Okay,
as a follow-up,
Mr. Grizzly?
how do you see the next 30 days unfolding with the tariffs suspended? What
Could we go
worked?
back to
What
11:30 and
we
listen
have
to the
change
question again?
For questions from the media, please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Mr. Ford, Ian Bailey from the Globe and Mail.
Hi,
We've
Ian.
all seen the hot mic footage of you talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Bonnie Crombie's team has cut an ad and put that out there. I wonder if you could tell us, why did you support Mr. Trump ahead of the election when it was clear he was going to target Canada with tariffs?
Well, you know something, I always believe in working with anyone.
Okay.
And, yeah, on the hot mic, yeah, he makes me swear once in a while. I think he makes a lot of people swear in this.
Why did you support him? I will work with anyone. And yeah, he made me swear I will work with anyone who has his answer, then pivot away to make it about something else. Yeah, he makes me swear, and then talk for about 35 to 45 seconds of blah, 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 and put string words together just to make it go away, and the folksy thing. That's Doug Ford's tell.
Oh, yes.
He does this about 5 times in this Q&A. So you can understand maybe why the next day he was not particularly interested. Now, if you go to 1618, as if that wasn't bad enough, because he was in the Ottawa area, I think he took a question from a community journalist in there, which is good. You should do that. But I guess he thought he might get a bit of a softball question there. And turns out that he was asked about the Canada Lakes golf course.
Yes.
Which is, again, a local issue, but it's another sort of land, real estate development type sort of thing that he keeps on getting his fingers all stuck in.
Well, let's have a listen.
In the OC Transpo team.
Neville Hunt with the Community Voice newspaper in Canada. I've asked you questions about the Canada Lakes golf course before, but you said that with the case before the courts, you couldn't comment. The Ontario Court of Appeal has ruled that Club Link can build homes on the Canada Lakes golf course lands. It's no longer before the courts. When Club Link wanted to build homes on the Glen Abbey golf course, your government stepped in and with one phone call got the plans stopped. Will you act to prevent development of the Canada lands that were to remain green in perpetuity?
Well, I'd have to dig into that. Thanks for informing me. It's gone through the courts, but well, I'll look into that. But I just don't know about the case as much as you do. So just give me time to look into that and I can get back to you.
On June 20th, 2023, you were in the riding. I asked you a question. You responded that you weren't familiar with it and that you would provide a direct answer, and I have never received a call back.
Well, if you give your number over to one of my folks there, I'll be able to give you a call back. Thank you.
Wow, that's a brush off.
Yeah.
David Aiken, Global News. Good morning. Good afternoon, Premier.
How are you doing?
Good to have you in Ottawa.
Yeah, great to be here always.
I wanted to ask about the
All right,
security
let's go there.
details announced by the federal government yesterday, whether you think that's...
Let's go up to 2127.
Just a second.
So you could tell by the look on his eyes when he was being that. So remember the first question, right? The hot mic. Yeah. Yeah. So he knows it's coming, right? The second one, he was not happy that question was coming. He pretends he is not aware.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that. But I asked you about this 2 years ago. Like, what's going on?
But not aware that the judicial decision came down. Like the question that this one particular reporter has been asking him every time he's sort of in the area, and he keeps on saying, given that sort of brush off answer. Yes. And it's kind of a big deal because it does have some legal implications. And he's got a whole team that watches everything legal that has to do with his behind. And he's going to come to the press conference and say, "Oh, I wasn't aware it was resolved. Oh, I'll have to look into that." Yeah, that's what you told me last time, Biatch. Yeah, well, just make sure we have your number, and I'll hope I don't forget to remember to get back.
You won't get back. He doesn't give a shit. All right, let's go.
Hey, Premier Ford, David Baxter here from the Canadian Press. Now, you called this election to respond to the tariff threat. We now know there's going to be that 30-day reprieve there, and there is still more work to do there, of course. But there are a lot of issues affecting Ontarians here at home. Many can't find a family doctor. We're still dealing with a housing crisis. When will Ontarians hear your plans to address the health and housing issues the province faces?
Pause that for a second.
We've been working hard. We put more stuff up front. Matter of fact, the mayor ended up getting a nice big check with the city council because he met the BFF fund. And we're going to continue making sure that we invest and cut red tape and regulations. Nothing gets frustrating more, gets me more frustrated than, and it doesn't happen in Ottawa that much, but other jurisdictions, let's say.
We're going to cut red tape and regulations means we're looking for ways to profit and increase the margin and privatize. It's coded language, folks, if you don't know this. Whenever a politician says we're going to cut red tape and cut regulation, it means they're going to hand it over to the private sector. This isn't new. It's been done, oh God, I can't even count how many times on both sides of our border and in the United States on their side of the border. Whenever a politician says we're going to cut red tape and cut regulations, all he's going to do is hand it to the private sector.
I'm not hearing I'm going to find you a family doctor, make sure your kids get educated, work on international trade deals, draw investment, make sure that the water is clean in that.
Well, and
we're working very hard and then
Didn't I just read yesterday that there's $5 billion in health transfers to the province of Ontario? That is...
Yep.
Well, I'm not going to use the word missing, but seems to be unaccounted for. They can't find it.
Again. How many times do you get to misplace $4 to $5 billion and then not... Just asking for about 16 million people.
I want to...
Keep going.
Okay. I went to a company yesterday, and they said, well, we might be moving down to the U.S. or Mexico.
Let's go to
not because we don't love it here. We've been here close to...
Because, again, he's gone to the thing was... The question was, kits and cubs, now that the tariff thing is on the side, right? All the other stuff for Ontarians, what have you got on that? Well, we're working very hard and now talking about Mexico and tariffs, I guess. And twice he talks about Mexico, and both of the times he's still throwing Mexico under the bus in these answers, despite the fact that the Team Canada approach is we're working with our Mexican partners now. The Prime Minister said it himself in that speech on Saturday.
Correct. We're going to work with Mexico. So if you want to buy fruits and vegetables right now, purchase made in Mexico. There's not a lot of made in Canada stuff you can get at the moment because it's February. Yeah. There is some greenhouse grown stuff. Right?
You can Mexican garlic, and it's always a great time to develop a taste for avocado on toast.
Speaking of avocado on toast, 1991, the average salary in the United States of America was $30,000, and the average rent was $500. 2025, the average salary is $50,000, and the rent is $2,000.
Yep.
Salaries have not even doubled, and rent has quadrupled. Mm-hmm. It's not the avocado toast that makes people unable to buy homes, okay? So you said 24, what was the mark?
2403.
Oh, shit, that's exactly where I am. Like, that's exactly where I am.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
want to pick up on something you said to Ian Bailey's first question about the hot mic moment there. You said you thought Trump would be different this time around. He did campaign on tariffs once again. In his first administration, he hit Canada with steel and aluminum tariffs.
That's right.
What were you expecting specifically that was going to be different about Trump when he didn't make bones about it? Tariffs were coming.
Yeah, like I said, I can work with anyone. I don't care who it is. I think I proved it to the country, no matter if it's Liberal government or in Toronto, an NDP government or anyone. I just thought things might be a little different. We experienced 5 or 6 weeks of tariffs last time. I appreciate the federal government getting me involved down there. And what changed it is when we started to go after their bourbon. Honest, that's what happened. And I thought, okay, we're going to move forward. The economy's good. I believe in people that want to put money back into people's pockets. I believe in elected officials, no matter what stripe, lowering taxes on people and on businesses. That's economics 101. Put money into people's pockets and businesses.
Wait a minute. We
right
got to go
here.
back because I don't know what the hell he's going on about. Let's go back right to the question because
Again, the same strategy, right? The click little answer that doesn't answer the question, the standard one. Again, I will work with anyone like this. And the prime minister drawn me in. That's when he's going to use again at some point. It doesn't say to do what or in what capacity or whatnot. Just I'm glad that the prime minister invited me in. And the rest is just motor mouth and stuff that has nothing to do.
You know what? I'm almost convinced Danielle Smith once worked in radio, because in radio, oftentimes you have to talk for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes and not say a damn thing.
Right.
Danielle Smith is very good at that. He's getting better at this all the time. Talking and not saying anything. Talking and not talking. We could talk or not talk for hours and still not talk. Do you remember that from, what was that Waiting for Guffman, I think?
I think so.
Was it Waiting for Guffman? Or no, Best in Show. That was Best in Show.
Yes.
Talking and not talking. We could talk or not talk for hours and still not talk. What?
Yeah.
That's Doug Ford.
Municipal or provincial?
Okay. Here's the question.
I want to pick up on something you said to Ian Bailey's first question about the hot mic moment there. You said you thought Trump would be different this time around. He did campaign on tariffs once again. In his first administration, he hit Canada with steel and aluminum tariffs.
That's right.
What were you expecting specifically that was going to be different about Trump when he didn't make bones about it? Tariffs were coming.
Yeah, like I said, I can work with anyone. I don't care who it is. I think I proved it to the country, no matter if it's Liberal government or in Toronto, an NDP government or anyone. I just thought things might be a little different. We experienced 5 or 6 weeks of tariffs last time. I appreciate the federal government getting me involved down there. And what changed it is when we started to go after their bourbon. Honest, that's what happened. And I thought, okay, we're going to move forward. The economy's good. I believe in people that want to put money back into people's pockets. I believe in elected officials, no matter what stripe, lowering taxes on people and on businesses. That's economics 101.
That's how he's
put money
by
into
the
people's
last 7
pockets
years.
and businesses right here. Right here. They're going to reinvest it in their people, technology, into their facility. But I'll tell you one thing, President Trump's not getting a Christmas card anytime soon, to say the least. And I'll
I hope
do everything I can.
It's February.
Mark my words, everything I can to protect Ontario jobs, people, communities, and businesses.
Well, so he was getting Christmas cards before?
From City.
I guess.
But that's what I said, the whole folksy thing. I'll tell you what, you won't be getting any Christmas cards. So this is you being tough now?
Well,
because as you're saying, because let's not forget, as you're saying, Donald Trump sure won't be getting any Christmas cards from me. You couldn't trip over your dick fast enough to give that $100 million contract back to Elon, the guy who's bankrolling and funding him, though, right?
Yeah, hours apart from I've torn it up to no, we're going to do it.
Oh, apparently he's out again saying because he felt the heat. Saying, if it happens again, I will tear it up again.
Just tear it up and stop wasting our goddamn money.
Or just show us that Canada or you are not for sale and just rip it up now.
Yeah.
Right. So this is when I'm hearing that, it's like, I'm going to rip it up. Oh, if he does it, I'm going to rip it up. Oh, I ripped it up. Oh, you took it back. Here it is again. It's like, no, keep ripping it up. Okay. Well, no, Ontario, I might rip it up like this. Yet if he needs it, hat one way, hat the other way. hat one way, hat the other way. But all I'm hearing here is no, Ontario. I really want to make this deal.
Yeah.
Or have to make this deal, one or the other, because he's really
well, and it's also
albatross
several
around his
million
neck, and he
dollars
will
more
not
than
let
we
it go.
need to spend. There's no need to spend $100 million on this.
Yes.
He
But
could
this-
send a $500 check to everybody that needs it. It would cost us, I think, $2 million.
Yes. But he's wearing this like an albatross around his neck. This is dead weight that anybody would tell you just cut. And he cannot cut. He cannot quit Elon. There's got to be a reason.
Well, in the comment from Dan here, I think he nailed it, and a few other people noticed that. It's like what he did just there was take another shot at Olivia Chow and the NDP. He knows there's no parties in municipal politics, but he also knows that Olivia Chow, the mayor of Toronto, is affiliated with the NDP and Merritt Stiles.
Yep.
But it's like he just literally took a shot right. I was like, what parties? There's no parties in municipal politics. There is no party platform. You're individuals on council or mayor.
Yep.
Let's continue.
In Montreal and Quebec City, I think there are and stuff like that. In Quebec, they have some little parties, and I think in Vancouver as well. But in
Ontario,
Toronto City Hall, and nowhere in Ontario that I know of.
No.
Communities and businesses.
Mr. Ford, Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
I'm going to stick with the comments you made yesterday again. How many Ontario voters do you think supported the idea of Donald Trump getting elected?
Oh, I don't know. You know what I mean? I know there's support across the country. We aren't talking about that. I'm talking about the most serious situation this country has ever seen. I think it's even more serious than the pandemic. This is someone targeting Ontario. Do you know why he's targeting Ontario? Because we're an economic powerhouse now. He wouldn't be targeting Ontario 7 years ago. Matter of fact, they helped him. 300,000 jobs were chased out of the province. All we saw is taillights heading down to the U.S. along with companies. Not any longer. We've seen investments of $70 billion. I think in 23 that all of us, people like
what does this have to do with Trump?
And Ambico, created more jobs
pivot away,
than
redirect.
all 50 U.S.
Over
states
here.
combined.
Look
Why?
over here.
Because we cut the burden, cut the red tape and the
here.
regulation, reduce the cost of doing business by $8 billion. Companies are fleeing from all over the world to come here to Ontario because of the quality of the people, because we've cut $1 billion of red tape, because we've never ever raised a tax on businesses. Matter of fact, we've reduced them, lowered the burden $8 billion a year, and we're putting money back into these hardworking people's pockets. Simple as, no matter if it's filling up on your gas, every time you fill up on your gas, I wish we had a big sign on every pump. Because of the provincial government, the gas is 10.7 cents a litre cheaper than it would have been. The other parties believe in the carbon tax. I don't believe in gouging people. I believe in giving money back. On the $200 rebate,
Trump.
We were going ahead no matter if it was election or no election. They were getting their $200 rebate. And I'll tell you the difference between ourselves and the other two parties or three parties. They believe when you get money in the government, it's the government's money. It's not the people's money.
Who has ever fucking said that? That's speculation on his part. I have never heard a party, especially a leader of a party, ever say this is our money. No, it's taxpayer money. Where's he coming off with this? Once again, Doug is not qualified to do the job that he was hired for. He wants to help improve Ontarians' lives. Okay, I have a suggestion for you. And I'm going to give you an actual real-life scenario. Now, my rent just went up to $1,179 this year. It's $1,200, basically $1,200. I'm in a rent-controlled building. I've been here 14 years. In 2007, my salary was $75,000. In 2023, I earned $77,000. No increase, because businesses are incentivized to keep people's pay low to maximize profit for shareholder return. We're being played.
We think totally different. This is people's taxes that they paid, and we saw a little increase of revenues, we went around the cabinet table. It took us about 3 seconds to decide we're giving it back to the people that gave it to us. Very few governments that I know think that way. And I'll tell you, the 3 other parties, they don't think that way. They think, I'm going to take that extra money and I'm going to tax you more. That's their philosophy. High taxes do not work anywhere in the world.
You supported Donald Trump during his first time in office when those...
The question was, what made you think it was going to be different? Or it was another question, Trump question, sorry. He humbles brags about how the economy is so much better because of him, so much more investments coming because of him. Right? And then he goes into all the other stuff about the tax vote and your money. That was 2 minutes and 36 seconds he spent not answering.
Mm-hmm.
So when all the people say, well, Doug Ford tries so hard in his heart, it's like, that's why, because they allow him to speak for 2 minutes about all the stuff that he's doing to help Ontario. Well, he's not answering the question, and everybody thinks that he's working so hard.
Yeah.
He spent 2.5 minutes bragging about his alleged accomplishments in response to a question about his judgment, why it is he still supports Donald Trump after January 6th and 34 felony convictions and being adjudicated in civil court to be, for all intents and purposes, a rapist and a defamer, and then a second time a defamer, and every freaking thing else, including openly campaigning on tariffs, when you know, if you are a Republican, that in the second term, because you're allegedly not supposed to have a third term, that you don't have to worry about getting elected again, that you are unbridled and can do. So if you did the same thing, that thing on the first time and promises on doing it again, it's going to be like a sequel. Again, Scream 2, the rules. There's going to be more bodies. There's going to be more blood, and the scenes are going to be way more elaborate on stage. Dude. It's like, why did you think it was going to be different? Well, I thought it was going to be different this time. And he doesn't even say why. No discernment, no judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly all in, because if you could still secretly hope that he won and be so upset when you find out that the tariffs are coming that you're talking about him as family. Remember all those clips? It says, we're like a family member. It's like, and we find out that Doug Ford has never even met him, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Think that you are family and you are pledging unwavering allegiance to a man you have never met, even after you know that man had whatever role he had in January 6th and trying to steal an election and adjudicated in civil court to have raped a woman for all intents and purposes. And you still, dude, we need to have a conversation about your judgment and your discernment. Is this the type of person anybody wants leading a province of 16 million with a budget the size that we have? This man has no judgment. And it is frightening. And we're seeing it again in this press conference, that he thinks that this is the way to handle these questions. And that he would still skate by. He's had 7 years of skating by on a whole bunch of scandals that he waltzed in there, chin up, ass out, and thought, on this one, this time, he was going to skate by. When he himself called this election on the basis of the threat of Trump, it was so big that it warranted breaking his current mandate to seek a job extension immediately after saying that we need to put all personal considerations aside to be on Team Canada. And he did not foresee that this particular thing would be something a little different, that his usual would not get him through. And he had all night to prepare with the best team and pretty much unlimited amounts of money. And this is what we got. When he asks the question, if it were actually true that Premier sat across the table from the President of the United States, who would you want sitting across the table? Based on this performance, not you, fuck. That's how you prepared for a question you knew was coming? Gee, no wonder we got soaked on the Greenbelt and Service Ontario. Oh my God. A negotiation with Doug Ford. I want this. Okay, how about we throw this in too? Well, we didn't ask for that, but sure, okay. that's literally a negotiation with Doug Ford. Oh my God. This guy. Let's keep going.
First tariffs were implemented, what made you think that this was going to be any different?
Well, I went down there, and again, I thank the federal government for sending me down there to negotiate with Mr. Lighthizer, Bob Lighthizer at the time. Had a great relationship with him, and we all worked
collaboratively together. Why did you think this time
with
would be
Mr.
different?
Lighthizer, with the federal government,
Not
with
what
all
did you do
the
last
provincial premiers at the time. We also all hopped on the plane and came down to Washington to meet the governors. Folks, this is all about relationship building. It's not tit for tat and back and forth. It doesn't work that way. You have to respect negotiations. When someone says we're going to give you a reprieve for 30 days, you don't jam it to them. You respect the art of negotiations. You say, that's fine, then we'll pull back. Folks, I got to explain it again. I don't think people understand the catastrophic hit we will take in the economy. There'd be 500,000 people losing their jobs here in Ontario. You negotiate fairly, and we're going to continue to negotiate fairly and honorably with respect on both sides of the border. We can be so much better if we stand together, if we're united together. We can build the AmCan fortress I keep talking about.
It's not going to happen, Gretchen. He doesn't want to stand with you. He wants to absorb you.
Marco Vigliotti, iPolitics. I do want to stay with the hot mic comments, but pick up what you said about those investments that you're saying are being drawn to Ontario. A big part of that are the investments your government's made, along with the federal government, in EV manufacturing. And while fair, President Trump didn't announce the 25% tariffs during the campaign, one thing he was very clear about was that he was going to dismantle the Biden government's EV subsidies program. Considering that this is what we're staring down, this may put more strain on your government and on those business decisions for those EV manufacturings. Can you explain why you were still excited to see this man take the White House?
Well, again, I'll work with anyone. I think you guys are obsessed with that. I will work with
You've
anyone.
never answered the fucking question,
I think I've been
Doug.
very, very clear yesterday in my press conference how I
will
feel
work with anyone is
about
not why you
President
were
Trump.
excited.
In saying that, let's put personalities aside. This is about people's livelihoods. This is about not just Canadian livelihoods in Ontario, but this is about American livelihoods that are going to lose their jobs.
Blah, 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 blah.
They're going to feel the pain like they've never felt before.
He's going to drone on again, right? Like this. So again, the question is, why were you excited to work with him? I think I told you, made it clear how you feel about President. No, that's all right. We're not clear because it was around the same time as well that you said you really wanted to win. You still thought there was going to be and then boom, you put the knife. You did not see the knife coming. Again, Donald Trump, you did not. You've never met him. You swore unwavering allegiance to him. You considered yourself family. You so wanted a seat at the Trump family table. You were campaigning for a seat at the Trump family table. And you didn't see the knife coming. Even though he openly said, if I become president, I'm going to stab you. You did not see the knife coming.
That's all he wants.
A man you allegedly never met. You thought that you had such folksy charm that you would get invited to Christmas dinner with Ivanka, Eric. Well, not Eric, but and Don Jr. Sorry, I should be mean to Eric. Everybody else. It's just so easy.
Yeah, we should probably show some sympathy for Eric because...
Well, no, turns out, based on that last tweet there, that tweet that he put up that he had to take down 20 seconds later.
Oh,
Or
yes,
20
yes,
minutes
yes.
later. It was like, oh, who knew that the quiet, dumb one was like the hardcore Nazi?
Yeah.
Shit. There's a reason he doesn't talk. It's not because he's dumb. It's just, well, I mean, it's dumb. I mean, racism and Nazism is dumb, but it's not because he's in. Yeah, it's because he believes a little too fervently for the message to sell. Damn. Holy crap. So, no answer to the question. 3341, Mr. Grizzly, asked an exceptionally good question. Here I have to commend the media.
Second.
Right? So you know, when we say Canadian media has failed, I guess there's something about Canadian media, I don't know what it is like this, but when they do detect blood in the water, like this, and a hot mic moment of, yeah, I really liked Trump after everything he said, is blood in the water.
Chum the water.
All of a sudden, no, we'd like to ask this question again. How about this question again? Or all of a sudden, there's digging.
Well, let's hear what he had to say.
Country, the rules have to change.
Hi, Premier. Davis Legree with the Ottawa Compass. I wanted to stick with tariffs. They were paused yesterday after the Prime Minister and President Trump had a phone call.
Yeah,
you
God.
have called this election because you say you need a strong mandate to stand up to President
right.
Trump. What was your role in the negotiations that led to the pause in the tariffs yesterday?
I'm not going to get deep into this. I can't. But I can tell you, I think everyone's seen me. I'm out there working the U.S. media, hitting probably 100 million people through all the different, be it CNN or Fox or NBC or Fox Business and so on and so forth.
What the fuck? What the
Okay, you can stop because it's just gibberish from that point on. I believe the answer was I had no role.
Yeah.
Oh God, Mr. Legree, we are not worthy. That was a beautiful question. That was a lawyer question. Do not ask a question to which you do not already know the answer. Mr. Legree knew that, asked that question knowing that the answer is he did nothing. Because he has no role. Oh, I'm not going to get into that. Because there's nothing to get into. There's so little to get into. You couldn't drown if you were face down in the liquid. Oh my God. This is bad for him. 3537, Mr. Grizzly. This one is going to make you swear. I'm just going to tell you, trigger warning right now, Mr. Grizzly. This one is going to make you swear. Because remember, my whole thing is, oh, look, Doug Ford remembered that Ottawa exists. He's in Ottawa. So, yeah. Kids, you might want to lower the volume because...
Real quickly, a question about local politics. Ottawa is one of the few areas where your party, your government, you guys haven't really had electoral success over the last couple of elections. Why do you think that is? Why hasn't your message resonated here in Ottawa?
Well, let's see what happens in this election. We're pretty confident we'll have more seats than the other people. I'm going to be very blunt here. No government, I've been around for 3 decades, no government has shown Ottawa more love and more support and more help than we have. I can't remember.
Oh my God.
Okay, you didn't yell. I'm surprised.
I'm restraining myself right now.
I'm sorry, I had
Excuse
to.
me, I need to get a shovel because the bullshit is up to here right now. He can't honestly believe that line of shit. He completely abandoned us during the occupation. Totally. Complete dereliction of duty. Declared a state of emergency the day before, or 2 days before the Emergencies Act was declared. And why did he declare that state of emergency in the province of Ontario? Oh, because he got a phone call. Hey, clear the damn bridge or we'll do it for you. It was all he cared about at that point was Windsor and keeping Biden happy. He didn't give a shit about any of us. Why? because the riding I'm in, federally is Liberal, provincially is NDP, and they tend to flip-flop from election to election. The riding that I live in is the poorest riding in the city of Ottawa, and it's by a large margin. So the working poor, and there are many of us in this neighborhood who live here, don't count to him. We don't even exist to him. He was out on his skidoo. I was on the phone 24/7. The name of his skidoo is 24/7. The phone 24/7. He was on the phone. That's the name of his skidoo. The phone 24/7. Because he didn't do a damn thing for us. Complete dereliction of duty. Oh my God. We'll continue.
They're having a laugh.
We're a premier having a great relationship with a great mayor like we have, and even his lovely wife's cookies. That goes right to my stomach. That goes to my heart. And I actually like your wife a lot more than you, Mayor. But that's
what the fuck is this man going on about?
very blunt here. No government. I've been around for 3 decades. No government has shown. I'm going to be very calm.
It is where you. And then switching gears real quickly, a question about
I'm backing
local
out.
politics. Ottawa is one of the few areas where your party, your government, you guys haven't really had electoral success over the last couple of elections. Why do you think that is? Why hasn't your message resonated here in Ottawa?
Well, let's see what happens in this election. We're pretty confident we'll have more seats than the other people. I'm going to be very blunt here. No government, I've been around for 3 decades, no government has shown Ottawa more love and more support and more help than we have. I can't.
Dalton McGuinty, former Liberal leader, former Liberal premier of the province of Alberta, is from Ottawa South. He did show more love, and I despise the man, but he showed more love to Ottawa.
Yep.
We'll continue.
That's fact.
I can't remember a premier having a great relationship with a great mayor like we have, and even his lovely wife's cookies. I think he goes right to my stomach. That goes to my heart. And I actually like your wife a lot more than you, Mayor, but that's all right. But anyways, we just have a great relationship. The council's been great. It's collaborative. But man, have we shown a lot of love here. And I love it. Every time I...
Okay. I think he just hit on the mayor's wife. And now he's telling us how much love he shows the province, the city of Ottawa. We all know that's total bullshit. If you live in this city and you believe a single word out of that man's mouth, I've got a huge chunk of land, oceanfront property, northern Saskatchewan, right on the desert. You're going to love it. I'll give you a really good price because you'll swallow up and buy anything.
Come here. I think I tell everyone the story. From the day I was nominated, every trip I come here is just incredible. I get excited when they say I'm coming to Ottawa. I really do.
Because he thinks he's leaving the province.
But he did.
He thinks he's leaving the province. He doesn't know Ottawa's in Ontario. That's why he gets excited. Ooh, I'm going out of country.
He doesn't. He's like, I get excited when I come to Ottawa every time. I really do. That's why I was nowhere to be seen.
During the occupation.
Like, I will work with anyone. Oh yeah, let's have a tripartite meeting while there's a convoy occupation going on. I'm conditioning my hair. Sorry.
I'm out on
I don't have
I'm
time
on the phone.
for that. Because how about you come testify at the? No, I'd rather go to court and fight to have my privileges not to testify actually enforced. Thank you. Really, I will work for everyone. Nobody loves Ottawa but more. Okay, sure, Felicia. Sure.
We'll continue.
Oh my God.
Hi, Premier. Annie Rose Deschâtelet from Le Droit newspaper. Could we have your input on the federal proposition of a 6th bridge linking Gatineau and Ottawa? And what could it mean for the National Capital Region? We've been confirmed by Stephen McKinnon that you discussed this issue with Federal Minister Dominique LeBlanc.
We can skip that one. Again, it's a more of a local issue. And oh, actually, no. Actually, no, play this one. I'm sorry. It was a local show. There's a reason I highlighted this one because this one will give you an indication of how bad this press conference is going for him. Okay. They're talking about building a
Minister
sixth
LeBlanc
bridge.
talking about a bridge, you were saying? Say I'm coming to Ottawa. I really do.
Hi, Premier. Annie-Rose Deschâtelet from Le Droit newspaper. Could we have your input on the federal proposition of a sixth bridge linking Gatineau and Ottawa? And what could it mean for the National Capital Region? We've been confirmed by Stephen McKinnon that you discussed this issue with Federal Minister Dominique Leblanc.
Minister LeBlanc told me about a bridge, you were saying?
Yeah, a sixth bridge.
Minister LeBlanc? Did he say LeBlanc?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what he said.
Yes.
Look, I know he can't speak French, but you can pronounce the man's name properly.
LeBlanc.
Listen to him. Pay attention.
I think she may have said
Minister
it too.
LeBlanc told me about a bridge.
Sorry.
I think she may have said it. So. Oh, no, she didn't.
No, she didn't. She
No,
said
she
LeBlanc.
didn't. Okay. Yep.
Back it up.
Could we have your input on the federal proposition of a sixth bridge linking Gatineau and Ottawa? And what could it mean for the National Capital Region? We've been confirmed by Stephen McKinnon that you discussed this issue with Federal Minister Dominique Leblanc.
Minister LeBlanc told me about a bridge, you were saying?
Yeah, a sixth bridge between Gatineau and Ottawa.
Okay, I can't remember that, but I'm all for infrastructure. And I have a great relationship with Minister LeBlanc, that's no longer the infrastructure minister. But we're in. If we can get federal funding, we can get support from Quebec and Ontario, let's build. I'm all about building and putting infrastructure in. We announced another
But you don't remember
$22
someone
billion
talking to you about
for
building
infrastructure the other
a
day, on top of the
bridge.
$200 billion that we're doing right now across the province. In Ottawa, as you heard, got a good chunk of that, not only the infrastructure of the transit, but also the interchanges.
He's talking about discussing building a bridge like you forgot mentioning that we're going to fill this pothole on Saturday.
There's a huge difference because there are some, serious dollars for a bridge. You need to build the road infrastructure and then the bridge. And the bridge has to be a minimum of 6 lanes for the amount of traffic. And they're looking to build a bridge. At one point in time, they were looking to build a truck tunnel because to get from Ottawa to Gatineau, you need to go right through the downtown core, right down Rideau Street.
Right.
And it creates an incredible amount of, pollution where people live. Number one, noise and traffic nightmares and pedestrians getting killed. It happens all the time down there. I have friends who live in that area. They can tell you. So to not know about a bridge, they've been talking about building a truck tunnel, which I would love to see built because tunnels tend to last a lot longer and require less maintenance than bridges do. You don't have to plow tunnels. They don't require the same amount of maintenance. They require maintenance, of course, but not the same amount of maintenance as a bridge.
Yeah.
They don't suffer from the elements nearly as much. Sure, salt gets carried into it from vehicles, but it's not nearly as bad as a bridge.
Yep. Indeed. So yeah, he can't remember discussing building a bridge. The guy who in his answer says, I love to build. I'm all about infrastructure. Highway, sure. Never met a highway. Didn't want to build. Let's build. Highways, reduce gas taxes, build stuff. It's a bridge, a major architectural and engineering feat. And he doesn't remember that.
A new bridge would probably cost $2 billion. And I'm saying that because of the fact that they need new road infrastructure, all of the engineering that goes into it, the developmental costs, the research. They haven't even decided on where the road infrastructure needs to go, let alone the bridge. There's lots of issues involved there. So about $2 billion. And he doesn't remember this?
Apparently,
he
he
did
blacked
misplace
out.
$5 billion in federal health transfers,
Yeah.
so that would make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Just seems to me, kits and cubs, that as a leader of a government, discussing building a bridge would be something pretty unique and something I would remember. Listen, because I might only get to build one bridge in 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're not built overnight.
Yeah, I just okay. 3812. This one's good. This one's a short one.
Two things I want to address here in the comments. The Libs and the NDP have to throw out that when they go low, we go high nonsense. He doesn't play by rules, so play dirty. I completely agree. That's from playing with 3D. And Tim McCaffrey here, I really hope you're wrong this time, but this is what happened in the last two elections. The NDP and Liberals are going to do what they always do, fight each other and hand him the election. That's the quote from Tim. They don't always do that, but the last couple of election cycles, they certainly have.
Mm-hmm. This time, I think there's a spread developing between the two that won't be an effective option for the NDP this time.
I've noticed
because last time they were pretty much neck and neck the entire way through.
Yeah, I've noticed that. And did you also notice that Merritt Stiles and Bonnie Crombie have both committed to doing what Mike Schreiner said, doubling ODSP?
Yes. Yes. So, if you like the idea, look at the Green Platform. They proposed it first in 2022.
Correct.
They're not new to the party.
No, they've been on this for a while now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue. What was the timestamp again, sir? I'm sorry.
Hold on. Yeah, I'll go look at that for you. The timestamp was 3812. This one's just about 30 seconds, but it's a nice one.
Okay.
Good day, Mr. Ford. I'm Charlie Pinkerton of the Trillium. Long time no see. Earlier today, NDP leader Marit Stiles said that she doesn't think Donald Trump is aware of who you are. You've today and in the past plenty of times talked about the importance of relationships and negotiating. So I'm just wondering if you can share what your personal relationship is with Donald Trump, if there is any.
I don't have a personal relationship with Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you. Our publication published a story earlier today.
That's the question that probably killed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So point blank, what did you do? Well, I'm not going to get into that. What is your personal relationship with Donald Trump? I don't have one. Why are you swearing unwavering loyalty? Why did you want him to win so bad then? So either he does have one and it's not good, and he's just trying to close the door on that, because look at Mr. Mortarmouth that has a minute and a half to 2.5 minute answer to everything, suddenly doesn't have much to say to that one, eh?
No, he's trying to distance himself.
So either he does have one and we're going to find out somehow, or he doesn't, and that's dangerous because that's a big lie, or he actually does not have one. And like I said, he swore unwavering fealty to a man he does not know and thought he would be at the fam. Like, how do you talk about America as a family member like this when you've never even met? Why would you? I can't believe he yanked me in like this. I feel so personally betrayed. You have no relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't yank you. You didn't have a thing, and then suddenly he changed his mind and betrayed you. Betrayed our alliance, our friendship, and whatnot, but not you. And you seem to like all the phrasing seems to be like in personal terms.
Well, this is
right. It's like he really, really just like it's like that thing. Like Donald Trump always wanted to be loved by old money. It's like he always wanted to be loved by Trump money or something. I'm not getting it. Yeah, Doug Ford is for sale. Yeah, exactly. And he thinks that we are too with those $300, those $200 checks, which again, he tried to defend.
He supports Elon Musk and Donald Trump, right? So
yeah. Like, come on. I'm the Doug Forty, the Doug Forty. So what the real Doug Forty? Please stand up. Stand up. Please stand up. Who is he? Who is he?
He's a puppet for big business. And as David Wallace has informed us, he's got back channels to Russian oligarchy money.
Mm-hmm. And
I was speaking to David recently, and he's still fighting to get his book out because the slap suit against him.
Yep.
And he's like, he doesn't have enough money to fight the slap suit. So I don't know how we can get the book out to the public.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway.
People have to support his slap suit like they've supported the other ones, but he doesn't have as big a platform as
correct
Nate or Dean or anybody else. It's just as important.
It's very important because he was in the room when the deals were made. He knows what happened. Yeah. He knows where the bodies are buried.
Yeah. The slap strategy is working very well on him, unfortunately. The last one I want to show, 3843.
Okay, just a second here.
This one might also provoke a groan or two.
Okay, thank you. Our publication published a story earlier today that was about a lawsuit against two former staffers of yours. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but essentially it's about an alleged scheme to get properties rezoned for development.
I've never heard of this.
Well,
first time I've heard about it.
Okay, well, the question I have for you is, I'm just wondering if you think that your government has created a culture that, essentially allows people to believe that backroom dealing can help them
Absolutely not. It doesn't happen. Anything happens like that, they're fired instantly. I don't play those games. I focus on taking care of the people.
Hello, Mr.
Okay.
Ford. I'm Anna Louise from Radio Canada.
That'll be enough. Steve Clark is back in his cabinet. And the person that they're talking about is Ryan Amato, his former chief of staff, and it was about some of that Greenbelt stuff that he says he's never heard of, he's not aware of. We read the article into the thing like yesterday after you left, Mr. Grizzly. But yeah. So let's see. A press conference about uploading the LRT, asked about the hot mic 3 times, why he thought Donald Trump would be different this time twice, what his role was in getting the current 30-day reprieve, nothing. What does he have a personal relationship with Donald Trump? He does not have one. He alleges. And then interspersed in there, a question about the Canada Lakes golf course and about news dropping that day about a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Ford didn't have a really good day. He's not really having a good week, is he?
Clearly not.
And now he's running away from journalists in an election that he had so much to say because he called it 16 months early, where all of a sudden he doesn't have anything to say, and he's advising all of his local candidates not to show up for debates. And there's what's the expression? A week is a lifetime in politics, and as of yesterday, there were 21 days, was exactly 3 lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Ford is not inevitable.
No. We really need to remove him from office. He absolutely has to be removed.
And by the way, Mr. Grizzly, my new term for the premier, Yankee Doodle Dougie, apparently got picked up enough that when I start typing the hashtag Yankee Doodle, it actually pops up so that I could click on it to complete. So it's trending enough. Power. No kidding. It was just clever. So yeah, he's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Doug Ford. Then we have Pierre Poilièvre, who, while trying to find a way to pivot and having everybody talk about how it is that they're trying to pivot in news reports, and everybody talk about how badly they're pivoting because let's see, when you have to pivot to, oh crap, our election plan is not running anymore, quick, militarize the border and throw people in jail for life. that's what your first response is. I would guess you're not doing well. I guess you're not doing well. The other thing I forgot to note about Pierre Poilièvre's thing yesterday is, and when he did this thing about his fentanyl announcement, he announced he was going for kingpins.
Yes. So,
Now-
so kingpins don't tend to traffic 40.
They usually have people do that work for them.
Kingpins they don't carry any of the product ever.
Yeah. And now you have to understand that while fentanyl, when we're talking about weights, because fentanyl is so potent, right? A gram of pot is nothing like a gram of fentanyl.
A gram of fentanyl will kill you.
Yeah, right. So 40 micrograms is enough to kill 20 people.
Right. So do the math.
Right. So, but fentanyl is usually incorporated in other things.
Oh yeah.
So
It's
you
in
stop
everything.
somebody on the street. What are you going to do? Break down each pill, chemically analyze it, say this one contains covered micro. Like, how's it practically on the street? How do you enforce this? How will a policeman be able to tell how many fentanyl is in the stash of ecstasy tablets that someone has, or heroin, or right? You
can't do it
in real life when it comes to. So it's a stupid policy. There's a criminologist that would
Well,
have
and
appeared
again,
on Alberta
remember
Health
what he's doing
Services.
here. He says he wants to go after the kingpins. The kingpins don't have product on them.
But
they have
also-
street level people who usually are in various levels of poverty, sometimes homeless, or users who carry the product. So what is Pierre going to do? He's punching down again. And this all goes back to, I put up a short yesterday from my little soliloquy about how it's all about poverty and how we could end so much street level crime. We could end so much wastage of Canadian taxpayer dollars on policing, ambulatory services, hospital services, jail cell services, etc., if we had a UBI and provided people with a place to live. And then, of course, somebody go, oh, you're a bleeding heart liberal crybaby who just wants everybody to have a place to live. Yeah, I do want everybody to have a place to live. I do. Well, people will just be lazy and not do anything. Not true. No, there is a percentage of the population that is unemployable. That is 1%. There's another percentage of the population of people who don't want to work. That's no higher than 3%. 97%, 96 to 95% of the population want to contribute to society, to their community. They want to better their lives. But it's hard to do it. It's hard to pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you don't have any goddamn boots. This is why, again, a progressive conservative, the late senator, proposed a UBI. And a UBI, again, is a conservative ideology because they know how much money it saves.
Yep.
And Pierre Poilièvre and Doug Ford want nothing to do with it because neither one of them are progressive conservatives. I know it's called the Ontario Progressive Conservative Party, but the progressive part left a long time ago.
Yep.
A long time ago. And in Canada, the Conservative Party of Canada is not conservative at all. They are the Reform Party under a different hat, a different disguise. They are wolves in sheep's clothing.
Okay.
So I just wanted to show you something quickly here, sir, and then we can pivot. But I thought you'd get a kick out of this because this is, I guess, this is from, who's this from? I guess Mexico has decided to redraw the map a little bit on the Gulf of Mexico. Because Trump wants to call it the Gulf of America, so they've redrawn the map a little bit here, and I'm going to show you this right now. So in the north, on the U.S. coast, it's called the Golfo del Gringo Loco. The southern part is Golfo de Mexico and Golfo de Playita. So the Gulf of Beach, Gulf of Mexico, and Gulf of Crazy Guy. Gringo Loco means crazy man, right? So
yes.
I thought you would get a kick out of that one.
All right. So, Pierre's panicking.
Yes,
clearly. And he's not getting better news because yesterday, the last pollster that we were waiting for from the A+ pollsters was Ipsos. And they had their numbers come out yesterday. And even though it still shows a 13-point spread Conservatives at 41, Liberals at 28. That's a 13 points closing of the gap. It was a 26-point spread on the 7th of January. So again, 3 weeks, a 13-point spread. So all the pollsters now, no exception, are showing. Now, in the Nanos numbers specifically, because the Nanos is a 4-week rolling poll, there are people that go look at the internal numbers and publish them, and they've published the weekly numbers. So if you're looking right now at the numbers that are there, as the last week drops off, the new week comes in, and that data changes. The data, the 4-week rolling number data, still contains 1 week, the week that's going to drop off next, in which the weekly poll was showing the Conservatives with a 42% lead over the Liberals. The following week shows that at about like a 34%, around there. And then the next week has the Liberals taking the lead by 6. And then the following lead increasing it to 7. So there's about a 50-point swing in the space of 4 weeks. In that one, something just completely flipped. So the Nanos number, which right now reads at 26 Liberal, 42 Conservative, if the weekly numbers keep on coming in for the next 2 weeks, similar to what they are now, there's going to be a big boom up in that number in about 2 or 3 weeks. The top line number that's reported based on the numbers coming in. And all of them are showing. And there doesn't seem to be less momentum. And I saw a clip yesterday of Mr. Carney out doing sort of like a stump thing, like in a room with people all around. And we've seen 2 Mr. Carneys, right? We saw the Daily Show, Mr. Carney, really cool and relaxed. We've seen teleprompter not working, Mr. Carney. But since then, we've seen teleprompter, Mr. Carney, and it's a little more slow and a little more wooden. So you're thinking, oh, what's he going to be like on the stump? Don't worry. Don't worry. He's real good. He's real good real good on the stump. And I saw somebody that caught some footage of an event that he went to on his own phone. So I wrote to that person to ask if I could use their footage so that I could show it to you. Real good. Real good. The debate in French is still going to be an issue because I still haven't seen him casually speak French. Still seen him do it with the teleprompter, and then sometimes in the Q&A sessions, it is a little more difficult. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a barrier for him in Quebec based on what the Leger polls have been showing, because the Leger poll that we talked about yesterday, Leger is based in Quebec, so they really understand Quebec, and they did a poll of a sample of 1,000 in Quebec only. A lot of these pollsters do a sample of 1,000 throughout the country. So these are really, really, really good results from Leger. And with the Leger poll, as opposed to the Main Street poll asks, the Liberal Party generic leader, whoever it might be, I guess. And for Ontario, that has the Liberals in the lead by 3 or 4. But the Leger poll actually substituted the names. So a Liberal Party led by Justin Trudeau, a Liberal Party led by Chrystia Freeland, and led by Mark Carney. And in that one, a Liberal Party led by Mark Carney showed the Liberals at 38 in Quebec and the Bloc at 24. Yeah. So it seems that the people of Quebec so far seem to like Mark Carney, even though he's been in Quebec now. He went to do a thing at the Port of Montreal. He had an announcement the other day. But he hasn't been on like Tout le monde en parle yet or something like that. Right? Or gone to give a sit down with the news panel or something, which will happen, but hasn't done that bit yet. But he does have Joly and Champagne and Leblanc, which is New Brunswick, more like this. But basically the Francophone contingent is pretty much on his side in cabinet, with probably the exception of Randy Boissonneau, who's on the Chrystia Freeland campaign. Yes. So there's a lot of people doing the groundwork in Quebec for him there. But so yeah, just his ease in regular conversation. In a debate, it will probably be a little trickier because with Blanchette and Poilièvre, that does speak French relatively well. Even Elizabeth Bay's French is pretty decent now. He might, he might, if he's slower in bringing his thoughts together and delivery, it creates some openings for people to slide in and take the mic away from him right in the debate. So he has to be hopefully develop some comfort so he can speak a little more quickly. But yeah, so for Pierre Poilièvre, the polls are not looking good, and each one is getting better. Every single pollster, whether they have an A+ rating, an A- rating, except for Abacus. They haven't come in yet, but is showing a gap closing of like on average of anywhere like 8 to 13 points in the last month, with ECOS being the one that's the far outlier on one end, showing a closing of the gap all the way to just a difference between 3, and Abacus I think still showing, if I'm not mistaken, over 20, 21. So we have one pollster saying that the gap is so close that it's 3, another one that's 21 still, and then the other one's showing major closings. So how long this will continue, whether there's more momentum for this, whether, this every time they see Carney, they seem to like a more moment. We don't know exactly where this is going to go, whether or not this is a sugar high, as people call it, right? And then things will revert back. But for the moment, it's concerning enough that there's open reports about them trying to change their strategy and seemingly having difficulty doing it because they seem to be really, really invested in that carbon tax thing, and they put so much work into it. And it's like, again, a leader that does not know how to cut bait when it is required. That's a concern.
I want to address this comment here from PNC Bio because this lends credence to the fact that when you mess with Canada, there are two things. We say sorry or you will be sorry. And when it comes to the Trump tariffs, you know how bad you have to piss off Canadians so that Quebec is currently the most Canadian-loving province at the moment? They pulled the highest in pride for Canada, Quebec. You know how much you got to piss us off for Quebec to lead in Canadian pride? Oh, Trumpy, you have started a war you will not win.
That's
the amount of people I've encountered online going, yeah, we don't need any of your stuff. Then why do you want us to make us the 51st state if you don't need any of our water, our whiskey, our wine, our steel, our wood, our oil? If you don't need any of that, why do you want us to be the 51st state? Oh, minerals. Oh, you need all of that. Here's the thing. We can trade with anybody we want. You know how many refineries would shut down in the U.S. tomorrow if we shut off the taps?
We choose to trade with the
refineries
US
are designed to refine Canadian heavy oil from the oil sands. They can't do the light sweet Texas crude. They don't refine it. Most of the refineries can't do it. They sell that on the open market, and other countries take it in and refine it themselves. You would put so many Americans out of work if we shut the taps off tomorrow. It would be unbelievable. The economic spillover from that is staggering. And then when I hear people say, well, we'll just invade you. We got the mightiest military might on earth. I go, yeah, how'd that work out for you in Afghanistan? How'd that work out for you in Vietnam? The United States of America has never won a war on its own. Never. Not once. You might be able to say, okay, they won the Revolutionary War, but they didn't do that on their own either. Because without France, they would all be British subjects. But people seem to forget their history. The reason they are an independent nation from the UK is because France helped them out. With guns, money, ships, you name it. The United States of America has never won a war on its own. They can't do it without our help. And that is a fact. It's as simple as that. And when they say we can invade you, we have all of this military might, I go, yeah, you do, but you couldn't defeat Afghanistan.
There's a difference between taking a country and holding a country.
Yes. You walked away from Afghanistan with your tail between your legs, a country that does not have a standing army. You were defeated by literally people living in caves and using AK-47s and whatever they could scrounge from the former invasion by the Russians, who also got handed their ass to them. Now, in that war, the war in Afghanistan with Russia, they were provided with guns and artillery and weaponry from the U.S., thanks to the late Congressman Charlie Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And when that war ended, Charlie Wilson said, okay, let's get in there. Let's beef up the infrastructure. Let's build skills and hospitals and transit and blah. And they said, no, we don't need to. We've won. Like, no, but if you don't do that, you know what's going to happen. Exactly what did happen.
Yep.
So, yeah, go ahead, try and invade us. Watch what happens when you piss off Canadians.
Yep.
So we have two modes. Sorry, you'll be sorry.
Right. Now, the Conservatives have another little bit of bad news that's not going to help them. Former Canadian Human Rights Commissioner Birjo Ditani, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, is suing Conservative Deputy Leader Melissa Lantsman, accusing her and others of leading a strategic, deliberate, and malicious campaign against him. The lawsuits were filed on Monday in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice, and Ditani's lawyer posted documents online. Quote, by spreading these poisonous allegations during a defining moment in Mr. Ditani's career, MP Lantsman ensured that her false representations discredited Mr. Ditani, according to the statement of claim. Immediately after his June 2024 appointment, Conservatives and Jewish advocacy groups condemned his selection and called for his resignation. Ditani, who was heralded as the first Muslim to head the commission, denied the allegations and resigned before officially assuming the role. Quote, MP Lantsman deliberately used some of the most harmful language possible to undermine Mr. Ditani's otherwise stellar reputation, the lawsuit alleges. None of the allegations have been proven in court, and the defendants have not filed statements of defense. Lantsman and another organization involved in the defamation claims, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, CIGA, deny the allegations. The lawsuit cites Lantsman's online and social media posts, such as this one made shortly after Ditani's appointment. Quote, another anti-Semite gets promoted by Trudeau. Birjo Ditani, known for perpetuating hate toward Jews, has been appointed chief of the Canadian Human Rights Commission, reads the June 25, 2024 Instagram post, which the lawsuit quotes. The lawsuit also notes another post on X that Lantsman made 2 days later. Quote, spineless liberal Trudeau's new human rights commissioner has a grotesque anti-Israel record, it reads. Lantsman and other Jewish advocacy groups flagged comments Ditani made in the past as a student, along with the 2015 panel discussion in the UK, where he shared the stage alongside a member of Hizb ut-Tahrir, an Islamic fundamental group. The group seeks to establish a new caliphate and opposes Israel's existence. Lantsman alleged that Ditani could not objectively oversee an organization that was supposed to protect from discrimination. At the time, Ditani denied the accusations and said he was unaware that a member of the fundamentalist group would be participating on the panel. Ditani also shared on social media a 2014 article that compared the threat of Palestinians to the Warsaw Ghetto during the Second World War. A grad student at the time, Ditani posted the article without comment. He repeatedly said that he regrets doing so and disagreed with the writer's argument. His lawsuit alleges, as a direct result of Lantsman's defamatory posts, Ditani's career and reputation were irreparably harmed. Ditani, his suit notes, is now a senior fellow at the Center for Free Expression at Toronto Metropolitan University. The center confirmed that this is an unpaid position. Quote, defamatory statements are each crafted to provoke a visceral reaction. By their plain and ordinary meaning and through the insidious context in which they were presented, these statements paint a portrait of Mr. Ditani as a morally repugnant figure, the lawsuit states. The intention, the statement of claim alleges, was to portray Ditani as unfit to serve as Canada's human rights chief, along with being incompetent, unprofessional, and a supporter of terrorism. Among the damages that Ditani is seeking through the lawsuit include payments amounting to $650,000 and a declaration from Lantsman that she defamed Ditani. In a statement to CBC News, a Conservative spokesperson said Lantsman will fight the lawsuit against her. Quote, the controversy surrounding the appointment of Mr. Ditani by the Liberal government is a matter of public record, because you put it on the public record. Ms. Lantsman will vigorously defend herself against these baseless claims. Ditani is also pursuing similar lawsuits against the advocacy organization CIGA and Rebel News founder Ezra Levant. Levant did not immediately respond to CBC News' request for comment, but said on social media, Ditani, quote, is suing me to silence me. Yeah, especially if you defamed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the reason for the
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
He told the truth. Levant is also fundraising to help with his legal fees, of course. Datani also said at Thursday's news conference he is crowdfunding to pay for his legal process. Quote, "We received the statement of claim and are reviewing. What we said is sourced and factual," said Richard Barceau, CIGA's Vice President of External Affairs and General Counsel, in a statement. After complaints from Latzman and CIGA, Justice Minister Arif Virani triggered a fact-finding mission run by an outside law firm. The report found no evidence that Datani was anti-Semitic. Let me reread that. After complaints from Latzman, the CIGA, Justice Minister Arif Virani triggered a fact-finding mission but run by an outside law firm. The report found no evidence that Datani was anti-Semitic. Quote, "Based on Mr. Datani's evidence, the scholarship that was reviewed and provided, we cannot find that Mr. Datani harbored or harbors any beliefs that would be characterized as anti-Semitic or that he has demonstrated any biases, conscious or unconscious, towards Jews or Israelis," says a segment of the report cited by Datani in his August 1st letter to Virani. However, the report flagged that Datani omitted the name Mujahid Datani from his background checks forms and omitted periods of unemployment. At a news conference on Thursday, Datani told reporters about what the last couple of months have been like for him. Quote, "I cannot sufficiently underscore the impact that this vicious campaign has had on me over the past few months," he said, reading from prepared remarks. Quote, "It has caused serious and potentially irreparable damage to my reputation. It has impacted my mental and physical health and has also affected my family and loved ones." Datani, who did not take questions, said his experience is shared by other people, quote, "often from marginalized and racialized backgrounds who endure campaigns against them which cost them their jobs." So, not great news for the Conservative Party. And finally, Kits and Cubs, the third of the trio, Danielle Smith. She's not having a good week either.
Not at all.
And there is some news that came out that is extremely disturbing. And I will read to you the article because it is extremely disturbing. But Nayad Nenshi came out yesterday.
I saw that. It was good.
To say something, and we're going to play it for you after, because Nayad Nenshi is not someone who is known to be a hothead.
No, not at all.
Or to jump to the extreme conclusion.
No, he's always been a level-headed individual. It's just
temperance.
Yeah,
temperance is a word I think I can use. It's a quality that he has, and in his temperate way, came out swinging.
I certainly thought so.
And if Mr. Nenshi is saying things like this, there's got to be something going on that is extremely concerning. So there's an article that came out in the Globe and Mail yesterday that has got tongues wagging, primarily because someone lost a job because it seems they were asking too many questions that were a little inconvenient. This is from Carrie Tate from the Globe and Mail. Premier Danielle Smith's government dismissed the head of Alberta Health Services 2 days before she was scheduled to meet with the province's Auditor General to discuss her investigation into procurement contracts and deals for private surgical facilities, according to a letter obtained by the Globe and Mail. The letter also alleges that the Premier's then Chief of Staff interfered in AHS contract negotiations. Alberta terminated Athana Zalopoulos, an AHS chief executive, on January 8th, replacing her with Andre Tremblay, the Deputy Minister of Health. Ms. Mentezopoulos, in a lengthy letter from her lawyer to AHS's interim general counsel on January 20th, alleges that she was fired because she launched, quote, "an internal investigation and forensic audit into AHS's contracts and procurement processes." AHS's operations came under some scrutiny after the Globe reported that members of Alberta's government received gifts from a company that imported generic pain medication from Turkey for the health authority. The Office of the Auditor General, in a statement to the Globe, confirmed it is aware of allegations of questionable procurement practices, but declined to comment further. The AHS board, after Ms. Mentzalopoulos, provided an update of her investigation in December, recommended that she take her findings to the RCMP, the letter alleges. The government dismissed the board on January 31st.
Wow.
And then, yeah. Ms. Mentzalopoulos investigated AHS's relationship and contracts with MH Care, the company that facilitated Alberta's $75 million deal to import generic children's pain medication from Turkey in 2022, and its owner, Sam Raish. She also dug into AHS's chartered surgical facilities, CSFs, and their contracts. And this has something to do with one of the reasons that Nate Pike from The Breakdown has been slapped with a slap action.
That's about to blow up in their faces.
Yes, especially with this, eh?
Yeah.
In her letter, she alleges that she faced pressure to sign new deals for chartered surgical facilities, including an extension for a provider known as Alberta Surgical Group, ASG. CSFs are private outfits that perform operations paid for by the government as part of the public healthcare system. Quote, throughout 2024, Mentzalopoulos has been repeatedly subject to interference and pressure from various government of Alberta officials, including the Premier's then Chief of Staff, Marshall Smith, to sign off on commitments for the new CSFs and approve a contract extension for ASGs, despite significant concerns within AHS around the true ownership and potential costs of those chartered surgical facilities, and concerns over the significantly increased cost of a proposed new Alberta Surgical Group contract, the January 20 letter alleges. Ms. Mentzalopoulos' letter says that she prepared a 44-page briefing note outlining her interactions with government and is prepared to sue for wrongful dismissal. She's demanding Alberta pay her roughly $1.7 million, which is what she would have made had she been permitted to serve out the rest of her contract. Ms. Mentzalopoulos, whoops, sorry, the screen just went up to me here. Ms. Mentzalopoulos alleges that senior government officials, including Health Minister Adriana Lagrange, were aware of problems she uncovered at AHS. According to the letter, the Health Department on December 23rd instructed Ms. Mentzalopoulos to wind up her investigation and turn over the files to the government. Spokeswoman for Ms. Lagrange directed a request for comment to AHS. The Premier's office did not acknowledge a request for comment. Mr. Smith, who left the Premier's office in early October, did not acknowledge requests for comment. AHS spokeswoman Holly Budd provided a statement attributed to Mr. Tremblay and Andrea Beckwith-Ferreton, the health authority's lawyer. Quote, Alberta Health Services does not comment on internal human resource matters, it said. I bet it doesn't. Ms. Mentzalopoulos was not available for comment, and the law firm that sent her letter to AHS did not acknowledge messages seeking comment. Alberta named Ms. Mentzalopoulos AHS chief executive in December 2023 as part of Ms. Smith's continuing plan to shake up the organization and trim costs. Ms. Mentzalopoulos previously served as the executive director for the Alberta Medical Association and as Alberta's deputy minister of finance. So she comes very heavily credentialed. The former AHS CEO said Mr. Tremblay, who was also an AHS board member prior to the government dismissing all directors, fired her over Zoom. Quote, he did so because, yes, indeed, where we heard that before. He did so because Mentzalopoulos had authorized an internal investigation and forensic audit into various AHS contracts and AHS procurement processes, including contracts with private healthcare providers and suppliers. Ms. Mentzalopoulos' letter alleges, quote, and had supported a proper due diligence assessment and costings for contracts with several private surgical facilities whose principals were connected to various government officials. The principals of these private surgical facilities were connected to various government officials. Cheryl Schneider, a spokesperson for the Office of the Auditor General, said the watchdog is aware of Ms. Mentzalopoulos' concerns. Quote, we are aware of the allegations. Oh, well, yes, why not? Just read the full thing, because Nate very conveniently said, oh, by the way, and the Auditor General now enters the room. But pretty boilerplate statement here. A statement from the Auditor General of Alberta. The following statement was issued by Auditor General Doug Wiley today. I recently commenced an examination of the procurement and contracting processes at the Department of Health and Alberta Health Services, said Auditor General Doug Wiley. At this time, the examination pertains to chartered surgical facilities, medication, ibuprofen or acetaminophen, and COVID-19 personal protection equipment, or PPE. The examination is looking at the effectiveness and management and control processes, including governance and oversight, ensuring value for Albertans while addressing concerns or allegations related to contracting and potential conflicts of interest. If necessary, the examination may extend to other organizations. Results of this work will be made available to all Albertans when the reports are tabled in the Legislative Assembly. The Auditor General is an officer of the Legislative Assembly. The Office of the Auditor General is independent, nonpartisan, of government, and those it audits. Its work is mandated in legislation and is not negotiated under contract, ensuring its independence of what it audits and how it reports the results of its work. This ensures the work is objective. The Office of the Auditor General is a credible and trusted source of information on government spending and activities. So, just so you know a little bit. So the Auditor General is indeed taking a look at this based on the recommendation of the board of AHS that is now fired to that lady when they saw what she had uncovered. Said, yeah, you should really bring this to the Auditor General, because if there's anything criminal, then it's the Auditor General that says, yeah, there might be something there, and then hands the file to the RCMP. That's how these processes work here in Canada.
Yeah, so basically what we got from Danielle Smith was a whole lot of
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Now, of course, this is the person that did tell us who she was when she took that phone call with Pastor Arthur.
Yes, Arthur Pawlowski.
Right. So none of this, Pawlowski, yeah. So none of this should be surprising. Shocking, yes, but not surprising, right? Ms. Metsopoulos updated the AHS board on her investigation and audit on December 19th, according to her letter. The board then recommended expanding the investigation and audit, and that Ms. Metsopoulos considered taking the information she uncovered to the RCMP, according to the letter. The Globe in July reported that Mr. Mraish, the owner of MH Care, provided luxury tickets to NHL games to multiple cabinet ministers and members of Ms. Smith's staff in 2024 and 2023. The United Conservative Party government in 2023 eased provincial ethics rules to make it easier for politicians and staff members to accept gifts, because that was the priority. Mr. Mraish did not acknowledge messages seeking comment. One of his lawyers would not comment without viewing Mrs. Metsopoulos' letter. Sorry, I'm tripping over that. AHS's internal review revealed that the health authority has purchased about $614 million in supplies and services from MH Care and companies associated with Mr. Mraish, Ms. Metsopoulos' letter said. Wow. More than $500 million. Okay.
That's a lot.
The investigation also revealed that Jitendra Prasad, who worked in procurement for AHS, had an email account with MH Care during part of the time he worked for the health authority. The letter alleges, including when he was negotiating the contract to buy Turkish pain medication, Mr. Prasad did not acknowledge messages seeking comment. Alberta only received about 30% of the children's medication order, and despite paying up front, it is unlikely to receive the outstanding medicine. AHS stopped using the supply for safety reasons. The letter tied Mr. Smith to Mr. Prasad and alleges that Mr. Prasad, quote, appeared to be retained or engaged by people involved with chartered surgical facilities and AHS procurement contracts, while also providing advice and services to Alberta and AHS for those same contracts. That would be a big no-no. Let me read that again.
Wow.
The letter tied Mr. Smith to Mr. Prasad and alleges that Mr. Prasad appeared to be retained or engaged by people involved with chartered surgical facilities and AHS procurement contracts, while also providing advice and services to Alberta Health and AHS for those same contracts. Ms. Metsopoulos also alleges that Mr. Smith, the Premier's former Chief of Staff, appeared to make calls on behalf of private surgical organizations. Quote, the efforts by government officials to increase prices being paid to private suppliers ran contrary to her extensive experience in government negotiations. He was placing calls to raise the price that government would pay for this rather than lowering it. Ms. Mensalopoulos alleges that Alberta Surgical Group received better rates than comparable private companies and that AHS was potentially paying for services it was not using. The letter said she had concerns about the proposed new rates for ASG and paused negotiations. ASG did not acknowledge a message seeking comment. Alberta does have a tradition of throwing leaders overboard.
Yeah, Jason Kenney for most recent memory.
Hi, Allison.
Yeah, Allison Redwood?
Redford.
Redford,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and wasn't there someone else too?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
somebody needs to go to jail over this.
Yeah,
somebody should go to jail for this. I mean, come on. And that Tylenol posed a serious risk to children, and it's still sitting on a shelf somewhere, if memory serves. It was never ever doled out.
No, and 70% of it was never even just delivered.
Oh, wow. And they spent how much? Was it 40 million or 60 million? I don't remember.
75 million.
$75 million. So it goes $75 million of taxpayers' money, which means it went through a back channel so
And they
that
paid
one
up
of
front.
Danielle Smith's friends received a huge payday. 70%'s never been delivered, and it was never doled out. And it was
paid up
dangerous
front.
to children.
Yes.
I mean, are we talking the plot of a Bond film here? Come on.
Yep.
This is absurd.
There's another plot twist, and then we'll get to Nenshi stuff. For our friend David Kleiman Haga, Alberta politics. Could Take Back Alberta have stolen the 2023 Alberta provincial election for the United Conservative Party? The possibility must now be considered. We knew immediately after the May 29, 2023 election that the UCP had won 6 ridings by less than 1,000 votes. We didn't know for sure until Tuesday this week, however, that the registered third-party advertiser known as Take Back Alberta and controlled by the UCP's far-right Take Back Alberta faction was breaking the province's election laws. The revelation of 12, quote, administrative penalties adding up to more than $122,000 levied by Elections Alberta, the province's elections oversight agency, against TBA Advertising Group, and 3 of its officers confirms that there is legitimate cause for concern the election was stolen. Imagine if all 6 ridings won by the UCP by less than 1,000 votes had gone to the NDP. The result on election night would have been 44 seats for the NDP and 43 for the UCP. That would have been a pretty fragile majority, especially with the need to pick a speaker, but there would have been no doubt in such circumstances that Lieutenant Governor Salma Lakhani would have asked then NDP leader Rachel Notley to try and form a government. Perhaps Conservative Nathan Cooper, not the worst speaker Alberta's ever had, would have agreed to another term in the chair, even at the risk of excommunication from the UCP. Who knows? Granted, some of the charges are quite technical, failure to deposit funds in the right account, lousy bookkeeping, and the like, but others could have had a real impact on the vote results. For example, circumventing election spending limits, accepting contributions from outside Alberta and outside Canada. Hello, political parties. Greenland just passed a law.
Indeed.
We can be like Greenland.
We can do this. You can do it.
And so, but others could have had a real impact on the vote. For example, circumventing election spending limits, accepting contributions from outside Alberta and outside Canada, and individuals knowingly making contributions that exceeded $30,000. Take Back Alberta founder David Parker. He was slapped with penalties of $7,500. Dismisses the charges and fines as a witch hunt. Oh, gee. Dude, really, out of all the possible terms, could you have not picked anything else? Really, like no original ideas of your own? And now vows to fight them. But we have to ask, should NDP candidates Rossman Valencia, Calgary East, 698 votes behind the UCP, Rob Miyashiro, Lethbridge East, 636 votes, Drew Farrell, Calgary Bow, 623 votes, Gurinder Singh Gill, Calgary Cross, 514 votes, Michael Lisboa Smith, Calgary Northwest, 143 votes, and Rajesh Angrel, Calgary North, 129 votes, have been sitting in the provincial legislature since the spring of 2023. Should they have been sitting? It's a question. Mr. Miyashiro at least now has a seat in the House, having won the by-election to replace former NDP Environment Minister Shannon Phillips as MLA for Lethbridge West on December 18th. We don't know because while Elections Alberta is prepared to tell us that fines have been levied and how big they are, it's not forthcoming about the details. And yes, some other ridings were very close too, but landed in the NDP column. Calgary, Acadia, for example, where after the dust from the recounted ballots had settled, registered nurse Diana Batten edged out disastrous former Health Minister Tyler Shandro by 25 votes. But it isn't the NDP that stood accused of cheating. And if the recent revelations by Elections Alberta raise any possibility, it's that Miss Batten should have won by more than 25 ballots. Democracy is important, all the more so in an age where it's being undermined and assaulted in a nearby country where most Canadians always assumed it was safe, as we hope it is here. This is especially true since certain politicians associated with the UCP seem so enamored of the way things are now being done in that republic to the south. Albertans deserve a full public inquiry led by a judge into what really happened in the 2023 general election. Calls for public inquiry. If the UCP won a narrow victory, so be it. We need to know they won it fair and square. If they won by hook and by crook, obviously we need to know that too. And we need to know who knew about what TBA was up to and when they knew it. Call an inquiry. Then he has a little comment about the AHS stuff. If you read any story in traditional media tomorrow, make it Globe and Mail reporter Carrie Tate's scoop, which is the one we brought you, about how the Smith government fired Alberta Health Services CEO Athana Metsanopoulos over Zoom, quote, 2 days before she was scheduled to meet with the province's Auditor General to discuss her investigation into procurement contracts and deals for private surgical facilities. And then he gives a summary of it, but particularly recommends it. He says here at the end, by the sound of the story, all the somebodies who knew something were diving for cover yesterday when Miss Tate called them for comment. No matter, the stuff is going to hit the fan about this today, whether they say anything or not. At this rate, Health Minister Adriana Lagrange is going to need to spend a few extra days attending more prayer breakfasts in Washington, D.C. as it is. She's not scheduled to return to Alberta until Sunday. Yes, 3 members of the Alberta caucus were cabinet and went down to Washington for the National Prayer Breakfast.
Yeah, okay.
They have no business being there in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I got a problem with them going to that, and I also have a problem with the National Prayer Breakfast. I just rewatched a documentary last night that I had seen some time ago called The Family. It's on Netflix. It's a 5-part documentary about David Coe and the National Prayer Breakfast and how they've basically taken over the Republican Party. I'd seen it before, and my cousin reminded me he mentioned it to me, and I was kind of like, I'm not sure. So I remember watching it last night. I'm like, yeah, I watched the 5 episodes, and it ties in with the Armageddon Factor, Marcy McDonald's book about how right-wing religious zealots have taken over the conservative parties across the country. The National Prayer Breakfast is, look, you want to have a National Prayer Breakfast? Fine. No politician should ever be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be. Oh, and that's also, you can't buy tickets to that. It's an invite-only affair. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
So for them to attend, they have to have been invited, which means they're tied in with probably the PBCC, amongst others. Opus Dei, the Heritage Foundation, yeah, all part of Project 2025. I have a clip here from an individual talking about the fines levied by Election Alberta, and this is from Global News. It's 2 minutes. It's quite interesting. Have a look at it.
This, to my mind, is the largest set of fines Elections Alberta has ever issued.
Elections Alberta handing 7 different fines to Take Back Alberta as a third-party advertiser, totaling $112,500. The violations include circumventing election spending limits and accepting contributions from outside Alberta and Canada. Take Back Alberta founder David Parker received 3 fines of his own for a total of $7,500. Jonathan Heidebrecht, listed by Elections Alberta as TBA's CFO, was given a $500 fine.
We'll be fighting it, whether legally or appealing it, or however we decide to proceed. We haven't decided how we're going to proceed.
The group bills itself as a grassroots political movement that was involved in former Premier Jason Kenney's ouster. Parker calls the fines a witch hunt and says the spending was not for elections advertising.
If holding meetings in town halls that are staffed by volunteers and passing a hat to pay for the hall and the gas that it took to get there is elections advertising, then I see that as a huge infringement.
Global News can't confirm what the fines were for specifically. Apart from the list of violations and fines on its website, Elections Alberta isn't commenting. In a statement to Global News, the management body says disclosure provisions do not allow Elections Alberta to provide copies of any reports or share details of their contents. Elections Alberta is also prohibited from commenting publicly on any investigations.
That is typical of them, but what we do have is some of Parker's own words, where going into the hearing, he called it a witch hunt, said he did not need to comply, and he wouldn't comply.
Take Back Alberta has not filed any financial statements with Elections Alberta since 2023. The Justice Ministry tells Global News it's reviewing election-related legislation to make recommendations on improving investigations and enforcement. It referred questions about these penalties to Elections Alberta.
So the person you saw in the comment was Dwayne Bratt, who is a Mount Royal University political science professor. And so I saw him. I was like, "Oh, there's Wayne."
Oh, you know him?
Oh yeah. I follow him on Twitter. He's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, Mount Royal in Calgary, by the way, not Montreal.
Yes.
I have a buddy who lives. Yeah, I have a buddy who lives in Mount Royal.
Yeah. So glad you brought that. So you have to remember that Take Back Alberta completed the takeover of the UCP board in around November 2023-ish. So the question now is, depending on who's on the board of Take Back Alberta, and with all this cheating, it is possible that Alberta is not even being run by Albertans.
Correct.
At the moment. So there's been hostile takeover of the UCP board by Take Back Alberta, which has now been fined. And it seems that there's some electoral cheating, which reminds me of the federal Conservatives who, in an election, then later on got fined. They actually got taken to court and eventually pleaded guilty to doing that, by the way. So things not going well for Doug Ford. Things not going well for Pierre Poilièvre. Things not going well for Danielle Smith. And now, please, let's bring on Mr. Nenshi, because I have never heard this man speak this way.
Yeah.
And he has a long political career. So, these are bits of news. Like, I mean, I knew corruption was in these parties' DNA, but man.
This is fascinating from Cat W. Out of topic, but interesting. There have been rumors within the Five Eyes community to take the U.S. out of discussions. That is huge. That's
not
huge.
Surprising.
Not surprising either. No, it isn't surprising.
Shocking.
Yep. Shocking, but not surprising at the same token. I have one little thing I wanted to share with you from Theo Moudakis. This will be in today's Toronto Star. You're going to love this, sir. You're going to absolutely love this.
Oh my God.
It's a picture. I'm going to describe it for the listeners. It's a picture of Pierre Poilièvre. Or Poilièvre. I don't know. He tends to change what he wants to go by. It was just make Poilièvre relevant again. Yeah, it was Poilièvre for the longest time. Now he goes by Poilièvre, I guess. Make Poilièvre relevant again on his hat with a sad face and a T-shirt that says "New slogan soon." And his thought bubble is "Lousy country uniting tariff threats." See, here's the thing. This is another stroke of genius from Theo because, when Quebec is the most patriotic Canadians in the country because of the tariff threats, that tells you how united Canada is, number one, and how pissed off we are.
Mr. Grizzly, could you show that the link thing that I sent you at 8:46, the Blue Sky link?
Hang on a second, I gotta find it.
But not the most recent thing I sent you, but the one before it. Because since we're talking about patriotism.
Just a second.
Because somebody, this is
Blue Sky link, you said? The Blue Sky link?
Yes.
No, that's the most recent one.
Sent at 8:46.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. No, I had that queued up and ready to go already.
Okay, yeah, play that one because this is from someone L.A. Legault account shared this. This is not L.A. Legault speaking in it, but we're talking about patriotism. This one provoked a chuckle.
Yeah, I had to mute her account. I had to mute her account recently because just some of the stuff I was hearing. I'm sorry. I'm not. Look, I very rarely block people. Instead, I just mute them. So that way they can't say, "You're a coward, you block me." I'm not a coward. I'm just tired of listening to your shit, and I don't have to. So I'll mute you, and I don't have to pay attention to it. Some people who are super abusive, I'm like, "No, you're too abusive. I don't need this. Block."
Yeah, block is for abusive.
Yes, block is for abusive.
Or just too dumb to tweet.
Mute is for mildly annoying to boring to you're just annoying me and I don't need to listen to this.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Just from one Canadian, you know that Donald Trump fucked up when the natives in Canada and the French are patriotic again.
I mean, you can't back that. You can't.
Right?
I mean,
no notes, sir. No notes. No. 100 Beaver points. I mean, come on. Seriously. All right. A little Mr. Nenshi.
We should wrap up soon.
Whoop-ass.
We should wrap up soon. Coffee. I like the coffee. Coffee.
Right. Are you going to play us some?
No, go ahead. Oh, you want me to play something?
Yes. Yeah. Mr. Nenshi.
Hang on a second. I got it. Did you send me the link? Because I don't think.
Yeah, it's the most recent one. 8:56.
Just a second. I don't think I'm seeing it here. Hold on. Let me see. I got to find it. It might be in a different file.
I'll resend it.
Oh, wait. Is this it? No, I don't have it. I don't think you sent it to me.
I did, but I'll send it again.
They'd probably, I don't know. I haven't gotten it.
There you go.
Oh, no, there it is. I got it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you
Just a second. Unemployment rate falls to 6.6% in January, by the way. Canada's labor market added 76,000 jobs in January, beating the economist expectations.
Yeah, they were expecting that it would go the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is some good news. Okay, this is from Naheed Nenshi.
Yep.
And let me bring this up. It's his reaction to the bombshell. We'll just run the whole thing. You want to run the whole thing? It's 15 minutes.
Yep. Just run it.
Okay.
Might have to fast forward it a little bit because this goes for about a minute. The intro, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's news conference. My name is Rob Miyashiro. I'm Alberta NDP MLA for Lethbridge West, and I am very pleased to introduce the leader of Alberta's NDP, Naheed Nenshi.
Well, thanks very much, Rob. And there is so much going on in the world. There are so many crises that Albertans have to face and deal with, and I'm very upset and very sad and very disappointed that we are in the position we are in yet again because of Premier Smith's mismanagement of a file. Let me be clear. I've been watching politics for a long time. These are amongst the most shocking allegations that I have ever seen. Danielle Smith's government fired the AHS CEO and then fired the board. She's now on her 5th AHS CEO in the short time she's been premier. She's fired the board twice. We already knew that they didn't know how to manage healthcare. But what this report alleges goes much, much further. The report alleges that this firing happened after the CEO and the board of AHS started to look into the legality around contracts for private surgeries that could enrich companies that had very, very strong ties to the UCP government and staff. They did all of this with your tax dollars. The allegations say that the CEO was pressured into signing contracts way above market value with these companies. The board was so concerned about this that they suggested that the CEO take the information to the RCMP for criminal investigation. The CEO was fired 2 days before a meeting with the Auditor General to talk about what was going on. So this is what I'm calling for today. The Leader of His Majesty's Loyal Opposition, Christina Gray, will be writing to ask for 3 investigations by the RCMP, by the Auditor General, and by the Ethics Commissioner. And I am calling for a judicial-led public inquiry into this matter.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, sorry, my notes are a little messed up here. I have to be careful when you're talking about these sorts of things. At the same time, it's very clear to me that the Premier, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Mental Health and Addiction, and all named employees in these allegations must step aside. They cannot operate in this role while they are under the shadow of potential RCMP criminal investigation until this work is done. Now listen, that is a lot for me to say. It's not normally the kinds of thing that I would jump to. I'm not a very hot-headed guy. But I truly believe that while these investigations are going on, we must rebuild the confidence of Albertans in this government. Albertans have never tolerated this kind of action from a government. This is much too big to sweep under the rug. We need to hear from the Premier on this today. We need Adriana LaGrange to get on the next flight home from her prayer meeting in Washington and come and face these allegations. And all of them need to step down while these investigations occur. So I'll pause there, and I'm happy to take questions.
So we're going to open up to questions now. For those online, it is the raise hand function or *9, but we'll start in the room. Please state your name and outlet.
Alana Smith, Globe and Mail. I wanted to ask you about one of the key figures in the allegations, Marshall Smith. Obviously, he's no longer with government. He was Premier Smith's chief of staff for some time. It's unclear yet whether or not the Premier was aware of his actions. So given that he's gone, to what extent do you think this relates to the Premier?
I've had a lot of chiefs of staff, two, while I was mayor, and I have people acting in the role of chief of staff in my current role. Here's the thing. The chief of staff only works on their principal's direction. They are the right hand of the mayor or of the Premier. So there's only 2 possibilities here. If these allegations are true, that the Premier's chief of staff was putting undue pressure, potentially for personal gain, on the CEO of an arm's length agency. If these allegations are true, then there's only 2 possible answers here. Number 1 is the Premier knew. If she knew, she has to resign. Number 2 is she didn't know. If she didn't know what her own right hand was doing, that means she's incompetent even more so than we thought she was, and she has to resign.
Boom.
And you hinted at this a little bit in your opening remarks, but this isn't the first story that's detailed serious allegations regarding Ms. Smith and her government. We've seen before allegations or concerns regarding her leadership essentially dwindle away, disappear. Do you think Smith will treat this any differently, or do you think she should treat this any differently?
This government has been very good about blowing off what would be horrible scandals anywhere else. As an example, recently when the Minister of Transportation was asked about the $1.4 billion in broken contracts that his incompetence cost the Green Line, he just said, not my problem, someone else will pay for it. In other jurisdictions, any of this stuff would take down a minister and take down a government. But I want to be clear. These are by far the strongest allegations I have ever seen against an Alberta government. This isn't just taking tickets to a hockey game from a guy who's implicated in these allegations. This is about sheer corruption. And if these allegations are true, Albertans have every right to say, we deserve an honest government. We deserve a government that does not work to enrich its buddies, and if these allegations are true, line its own pockets. And this is, I can't even describe to you, as someone who's been in public life for 15 years, who's been a student of public life my whole life, I have never seen anything like this in Alberta. And yes, Albertans need to tell the Premier there's no squeaming out of this one.
Josh McLean, CBC News. Have you seen the letter yourself, or does the NDP have a copy of the letter?
I've seen parts of the letter, and what I have seen, as I said, was the most shocking stuff I've ever seen.
We'll go now to questions online. Catherine, you should be able to unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine Burkowski, Alberta Today. So if you're calling for the people who have been accused to step aside while this investigation is ongoing, who should be working and doing that work in the interim, and who gets to appoint that?
You know, the Premier has a cabinet, and I should say one other thing, actually, which is that I'm encouraging every single UCP MLA and every single UCP cabinet minister today to take a hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this the kind of government you signed up for? When you went door knocking to your neighbors and said, I want to serve, is this what you meant? And if so, it's up to the UCP members themselves to really say whether they stand for clean and uncorrupt government. Simple as that. And so, you know, not my problem to solve of how they'll manage their internal dynamics, but they got a big caucus, and I'm confident that the work of the government can continue. In fact, it can continue better if it's not working under a cloud of allegations of corruption.
Do you have a follow-up, Catherine?
Yeah, and a lot of people might react to this and say, oh, well, of course, the government's corrupt, government's always corrupt. What sets this apart? You said this is the most shocking thing you've seen. What sets this apart from, say, other examples of mismanagement that you've been concerned about?
Well, you know, I don't particularly think that all governments are corrupt, or I wouldn't be in the business. I really believe that people deserve to have trust in those that they elect to serve them. And yes, we've known for some time, or I should say, Albertans have been talking for some time about the really incompetent management of this government. Albertans have been talking for some time about how this government puts undue pressure on different organizations, particularly but not limited to healthcare. They tell teachers what they can and cannot say in classrooms. They don't allow public health to actually tell people when and where to get an influenza vaccination. You know, they clearly are trying to control everything, but they don't know how. They don't have the ability to do it. What is shocking about this is the first time we've seen in black and white allegations that not only do they apply pressure to supposedly independent organizations, but that they're using taxpayer money to enrich their friends in ways that do not meet the needs of Albertans. These we've had challenges with these chartered surgical facilities from day one. The government has refused to provide performance data, has refused to provide contracts, has refused to say how much is being paid. And if these allegations are true, these allegations are that the government, right up to the Premier's office, pressured AHS to award contracts to someone they knew at a cost higher than competing contracts. Again, we need to know if this is true. And if these things are true, then that is, in fact, the most shocking thing I've seen out of a government, and I've seen some pretty shocking things out of this government.
So again, if you have a question online, it's the raise hand function or *9. We'll do one more pass for questions in the room.
Matt's case, Canadian Press. What does this mean for the overall healthcare restructuring project that's underway right now?
Stop now. The healthcare restructuring now has lost all credibility. Because even when hand-picked CEOs and hand-picked boards by Danielle Smith are fired allegedly because they won't do her bidding, that means we don't have any faith in any of the restructuring. And in particular, it is imperative that the province put a moratorium right now on awarding any new contracts to these private surgical facilities.
Yep.
And Andre Tremblay, her replacement for CEO, should he step aside? Do you have any suggestions for his role?
Well, here's the challenge. Again, if these allegations are true, the guy who put the muscle on, who actually applied the pressure to the CEO, is now both the CEO and the board. He reports directly to the Premier. There is no more board of directors. There is no more official administrator. That was challenging when it happened. When it happened, eyebrows raised that this much power was vested in one person. And now it is alleged that this person was involved in part of the conversation. So clearly, he cannot have the confidence of the 100,000 plus employees of Alberta Health Services or the confidence of Albertans. So without question, he must recuse himself.
Yep.
Perfect. We'll do one more pass for questions, again in the room. And then again online. Catherine, you should be able to unmute.
Thanks. Just had one more question about the scope of the public inquiry. The Health Sciences Association of Alberta has said that any kind of investigation should go beyond this this particular allegation and should be looking at all private contracts with AHS. I'm wondering what scope of the judicial investigation would you be seeking?
I agree with the HSAA on this. When we look at what is alleged in this letter, it involves the famous Turkish Tylenol, nearly $100 million down the drain. It involves the contracts to chartered surgical facilities that do hip and knee replacements and cataract surgery. And clearly, if there are allegations around these things, we need to go much deeper. And I would argue we need to look at allegations that we've been hearing around tendering of construction contracts on healthcare facilities and schools, and all government tendering since Danielle Smith took power, because the only way we can gain the trust back is to investigate it and either say nothing went wrong here or something went wrong here and here's how it's going to be fixed.
Do you have a follow-up, Catherine?
No, that's fine, thanks.
Seeing no more questions, that concludes today's press conference.
Thanks, everybody.
So there we have a press conference where the person stood for all the questions until there were none.
Because that's how you're supposed to do it.
Especially when you're coming in to say something big, like, for example, there's some people that should resign, step aside, and we need a judicial inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say that. So, oh, by the way, got to go 3 minutes. Peace out.
No. Okay, any other questions?
You come to drop a bomb like that.
Any other questions? Mm-hmm. No? All right. You sure? No, we're good. Everybody, we're full? Okay. All right.
Everyone's had enough to eat at home?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All of a sudden, look at us 2 weeks ago. Poilièvre team is definitely in panic mode and can't pivot.
Yes.
Doug Ford is running away from questions. And all of a sudden, we're talking about RCMP investigations and judicial inquiries and needs for Danielle Smith to resign.
You know, I
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Well, that's an appropriate hat to wear with what I'm about to share with you, because if you remember, one of the funniest episodes of a sitcom ever was in the late 70s, WKRP in Cincinnati, and it was their Thanksgiving Day show, which is right around the Christmas kickoff of the Christmas season. And here's what I need to share with you is this is my friend sent this to me a few moments ago, and I'm like, this is just an absolutely brilliant cartoon. As God is my witness, I thought Captain Canada could fly. And it's for those of you listening, it's a picture of Doug Ford flat on his lying face down with his tongue hanging out, with a Captain Canada flag in a white suit with red gloves, red boots, red underwear, I guess, with a Canada's Not For Sale hat beside him, and he's cracked the pavement. He's hit so hard.
Well, you know what the problem is there, Mr. Grizzly.
What's
no
that?
cape. He had the cape. No capes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Could it be, Canada, that we might be actually being handed an opportunity to clean house?
Certainly looks like it. You know, I said 2024 was the year of the pushback. 2025 might be the year of the beat down. There was a big pushback last year, and I think this year, I think it's the beat down is coming. You know, fairly or unfairly, a prime minister who's done a lot for this country. And I have my issues with the prime minister. I do. We don't see eye to eye on everything. Nobody does. I have issues with him. But he's a fundamentally good man who's done a lot of good work for Canadians. But he was basically bullied into stepping down because the hatred for the man, which is beyond me why, because if you actually look at what he accomplished, you look at how he kept us whole during the pandemic, one would think you'd reward him with, hey, you know what? We should reelect this guy because he's done a good job. But social media and right-wing American-owned newspaper chains across the country have basically been telling you he's poisoned for years, to the point where I came across a YouTube page earlier. Oh, I think I closed it, where it talks about how Trudeau has completely lost it. I'm like, what? So I scroll down through the comments, and it's like, he's a dictator. He's a dictator. Got to get rid of this dictator. I'm voting for Poilièvre. And it's all. And I go through some of these lines, and I'm like, wow, people have been brainwashed. You can have your issues with Trudeau. You're welcome to. You can hate him if you like. I don't care. But I think his record would show that he's actually done more good for the country than the previous prime minister did. I'm not making that up. It's a documented, verifiable fact. People's lives have improved. Some people's lives have diminished. You can't help absolutely everyone. You help as many as you can. That's the old story. You help as many as you can. You can't save everybody. Save as many as you can. And he's certainly done that. Now I'm going to be called a liberal cuck who loves it, and I'm probably on their payroll. I'm not. I'm fucking broke. I've got $100 to my name. That's it. That's all I've got. I'm not on any payroll, okay? But here's the thing. Him stepping down completely has changed the vibe and the atmosphere within the party and within the country, because you look at how the party is suddenly back on top again. It had less to do with hatred for the Liberal Party or the Liberal government and more to do with imagined and painted hatred for the leader of that party.
Right.
So now that you have possibly Mark Carney as the next leader of the Liberal Party and the next prime minister, to steady the ship at a time when we need an old white man with experience on a global scale dealing with massive issues, because look who's south of our border. You see how the tide has turned. 2024 was the year of the pushback. 2025, I think, will be the year of the beatdown, when we say no to fascism, when we say no to populism, when we say no to people who would take a position to harm you. We see what's happening in real time in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
You know that when Adolf Hitler was assumed the position of Chancellor of Germany in 33? 33 or 29, I can't remember. Within 53 days, 53 days, he completely destroyed democracy.
Yep.
He became a dictator in 53 days. And if you disagreed with him, you disappeared.
Yep. January 30th, 1933.
There you go. 1933. Within 53 days, he completely destroyed Germany. People say, well, he built this, he did that. No. He completely destroyed democracy. Totally and utterly. Trump wants to beat that record.
Yeah. It happens very fast.
Very fast.
Very
it happens in real time in front of your eyes. If you say to yourself, I wonder what I would have done if I was in 1933 Germany. You're doing it right now. History is repeating. The players are different. The names are different.
Technology is different.
But it's happening. And it's happening faster than I thought it could.
Yep.
The greatest generation, that's what they're known as, the generation that fought in World War II, has been saying for decades, if you are not careful, this will happen again. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Right. If you are not vigilant, if you do not pay attention to democracy, if you do not get out and vote, if you do not make sure the checks and balances stay in place, this will happen again. And I'm telling you, it's happening right now. And the biggest problem is the amount of people in this country who seem to think the current prime minister is that guy. And I'm like, there's no metric to back up that statement that he's a dictator. We drove across the country for 3 weeks, parked in my neighborhood for 3 fucking weeks, blaring your horn, shitting in the street, harassing my neighbors. But
you've been calling him a dictator for 3 years and none of you have been arrested yet for it.
If he was a dictator, you know how many people would have been disappeared by now? Instead, he goes to a public town hall where people are screaming F Trudeau to his face, and he stays and takes questions. A woman approaches him while he's on vacation, says, get out of BC. We hate you. He's like, thank you. Have a nice day. That is the way you respond to people like that. Thank you. Have a nice day. Take care. That is the only way to respond to people like that.
Yep.
Because otherwise you're going to get into a heated argument, a back and forth. Nothing gets solved. The hatred will rise.
Or you give them something that they can hang their hat on. Go, oh, see, he was a turtle prick. We're like this. Just like, have a nice day. Keep
Thank you. Have a nice day. For 99% of the negative comments I see on our YouTube page, my response is, thanks for the engagement. We really appreciate it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
Because that's the only way to deal with people like that. Yep. They have their mind made up. It doesn't matter what document, what verifiable fact proof that I show them. They will not believe it because they're in a cult. People are cult members. They just don't know it. And that's how you join a cult. You don't just say one day, I think I want to become a Moonie. No. It's incremental. They beat you down. They brainwash you. And once you're a member, getting out is damn near impossible because you don't recognize it. You don't recognize that there's a problem because everybody around you is saying the exact same thing. That's why they call it a bias confirmation echo chamber. And people have accused me of being in one. I'm like, why? I didn't vote Liberal. I didn't vote for the Prime Minister. So please tell me, how am I in that bias confirmation echo chamber? I'm not. Yep. I'm a realist. And here's the thing. What's happening in real time right now is not good. And if we do not be vigilant, we could very much end up just like the United States of America.
Except, right, we have a chance, right? Because we're seeing what's going on down there. So we see what's going on down there. So, Poilièvre, look, we could be facing a situation that we get a new Liberal leader around March 9th. Maybe they get a sugar high. Maybe they just don't recall Parliament and just go right away, take benefit of sugar high. They either win a majority or a minority government, or Conservatives win a minority. But let's say, and they're not allowed to govern, and the party boots Poilièvre. Gone. There's a chance if this Doug Ford hot mic stuff starts to stick and the polls start to change, where he gets a minority, I guess maybe even he loses because Bonnie Crombie, the Liberals reacted great there, and I sent you a little clip there that we'll play to show that the little commercial that they put on. But they were immediately out of the gate the same night with that. If this sticks and starts to hit, if he gets a minority, he's gone too. And if this Danielle Smith stuff starts to get really sticky and people start to get calls and people start lawyering up, if her caucus doesn't throw overboard, which they really should now. But we might be facing, before the end of 2025 is over, that both Doug Ford, Pierre Poilièvre, and Danielle Smith would all be gone. Now, we don't know what they're going to be replaced with. But them, the entire trifecta of disloyals, would be gone. 2 weeks ago, no possibility of that. Wasn't even part of the discussion. What a difference 2 weeks make. I don't know what it's 14 times 24 little hours. I mean,
yeah.
We have hope.
We do have hope. We do have hope. And I've had a back and forth with this individual on Blue Sky, and telling him, he said on an episode we did recently, and we called out all of Pierre's lies. He goes, "What lies?" And he's an agent of chaos. I think I sent you some DMs about that on the Blue Sky.
Yeah.
An agent of chaos. And he just and I finally said, "You're boring me. I'm done with this." He goes, "Well, Pierre, I said, Pierre Poilièvre wants to end all vaccine mandates, but he can't do that because they're provincial." He says, "But there's federal ones too." I go, "Yeah, okay. For Crown Corps, for the D&D, for members of parliament, government employees. Yeah, there is. Those are federally mandated by the federal government."
Federally regulated industries.
Correct.
Yep.
But when it comes to provincial matters like schools and that, they said, "Well, Pierre Poilièvre wants to draft a thing." I go, "He can't do that. You're supposed to be a political scientist student and you don't know this?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm a working stiff. I worked 29 years in construction and I know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just got bored and said, I'm bored with this. I'm done. He's like, "Well, why do you hate Pierre Poilièvre?" And I go, "Because I've met him. He's a smug, smarmy, misogynist asshole."
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to Trudeau if you met him? And I just, no, I'm done. I'm bored. What would I say to Trudeau? I'll tell you right now. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for instituting programs that we should have had decades ago. Pharmacare and dental care. Thank you for instituting a program that I will never directly see a benefit of, but I know it will benefit every single mother, every working family across this country who can get their child into affordable childcare.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, because that will benefit every single one of us in the long term.
And designed in such a way that would help single dads too.
Exactly, because they exist. They do exist. I know a few of them, actually. I know about 6 of them right off the top of my head. Guys I worked with, single fathers. And their whole world is their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And they were struggling to make ends meet. I know a few guys who moved to Quebec, right across in Gatineau, for a few different reasons. I'm not going to get into all the nitty-gritty of it, but one of them was $8 a day daycare.
Mm-hmm. 5, I think.
No,
it was $5 a day daycare when it started.
When it started, it's 8 now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I heard you say $1 a day daycare.
So. No, $8 a day.
8. Okay. Yes, 8. Yes. Yeah.
So I would say thank you to the Prime Minister for the things he's done. I would say you need to do more for those of us who are suffering horribly. You need to do more we need a federally regulated program like welfare, but let's have a UBI. And I would insist you need to make that your last thing, a UBI. That's a national program that should happen. Let's get rid of welfare. Let's get rid of disability. Let's get rid of EI. Wipe all of that out. Get rid of all of it. A UBI. One thing for everybody right across the country, done federally, not provincially. And everybody gets a $2,000, I'll say $2,000, maybe more. I don't know what it needs to be right now. A stipend each month. Yep. And if you're working full time, you still get that stipend. In BC, I just learned the other day that if you were on disability in BC, you can earn up to $15,000 before they claw anything back from you.
There's a good policy.
I know you have a certain amount you can earn in Ontario before they claw it back from you, but I don't know what that amount is, but it's not 15,000.
5,000?
5,000? That's like, and again, what's that going to do when you're only getting $1,150 a month? And not everybody gets the same amount. So yes, I would say to the Prime Minister, you need to do more for the underprivileged, for the homeless. Start with a UBI. You've already done great work with getting the housing up and running for the country. You've done great work. I don't see eye to eye with you on everything. And I hate it when I see big business getting big chunks of money, like under former Minister of the Environment, Catherine McKenna, who handed over $40 million to Loblaws to buy new freezers and refrigerators. And I didn't like it, but I understood it. The program is put out there for anybody who qualifies. If you qualify, if you meet the criteria, you get the money. It's as simple as that. And that is how the government has to operate. You have to do it that way. You can't play favorites. If you are a business, you meet this criteria, you qualify, you get the money. Yep. I didn't like seeing it, but I understood it.
Yeah. Need to enter because I found out the information about the ODSP was updated. But from Community Living Ontario, it says the Ford government increased ODSP rates by 16% on September 22. In 22, the provincial government also increased the amount employment income people can earn before the ODSP benefits are reduced. So that was changed at the same time. Unfortunately, even with the 16% rate increase, people on ODSP can now afford to buy less than they could 20 years ago. So that didn't help much. But here it says people on ODSP are now able to keep up to $1,000 in employment earnings every month without having their ODSP amount reduced. Above $1,000, they will keep 25 cents of every dollar. Before this change, people were able to keep $200 per month without ODSP being reduced, and 50 cents of every dollar after that. It's important to understand both the amount before clawbacks growing from $200 to $1,000 per month and the clawback rate growing from 50 to 75 of every dollar above the threshold. This change has the most benefit for people who earn around $1,000 in a given month, but for others, the change will make a smaller difference.
Correct.
So there you go.
It's a change and it's a move in the right direction, but it's still not enough.
Yeah. And then for context, for a single person with a disability in rural Ontario, the market-based measure of poverty is just over $24,000 per year or $2,000 per month. For someone in Toronto, it's $29,000 per year, or $2,417 per month. If you're on ODSP and have employment earnings of $1,500, you can just reach the poverty line. About 10% of people on ODSP have employment income.
Okay. Well, all right. Let's look at this thing from Bonnie Crombie, and then we'll wrap it up because we're pushing 3 hours, and I got to get my doggy out.
Yep.
Come on.
Doug Ford just said he was happy Donald Trump won the election.
When the election day, was I happy this guy won? 100% I was.
Happy the guy who campaigned on a trade war with Canada became president?
The tariff will be substantial in some cases.
I am a tariff man standing on a tariff platform.
Was I happy this guy won? 100% I was.
He was happy? Was he happy Canadians might lose their jobs? Was he happy about the threat of Canada becoming the 51st state?
What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state.
Was I happy this guy won? 100% I was.
Or does he just care so little about the people of this province?
They should be a state.
That he saw an attack on Ontario as an opportunity for himself.
We need a clear mandate for 4 years of dealing with our American friends.
What else does he say when he thinks you're not listening?
Was I happy this guy won? 100% I was. 100% I was.
What else does he say when he thinks you're not listening? Cue that Greenbelt video.
Yeah, no kidding.
The Liberals were out with that when they say Doug Ford just said this. That was true advertising because that ad was out after he had just after we found out he had just said that. That's a good turnaround. That's an effective war room. They've shown up to play.
So, God bless the president. And don't get me wrong, full disclosure, I'm a big Republican.
When people show you who they are, believe them. All right, let's wrap it up, sir. I got
the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we really love making this one for you. We got hope again. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. If you would like to support us, for example, by making sure if you're listening to our ears only version that you do not miss an episode, you don't have to. Thanks to the Ray Girl who sponsors our pod page, podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver. Lowercase letters, or doesn't matter what. I'm just used to say lowercase letters now, but with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you click on subscribe when you get there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. Now, if you would like to support us in other ways, you need to make like Kit Elaine, Kit Cassie, and surf yourself on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where our buttons like, share, and subscribe are waiting for you to just give them a little tickle. So if you would do that, that would get us some. Make us very happy. And if you want to watch the show live with us at 7 a.m. Eastern, you can join the chat with the best damn fam in all of podcasting. Wonderful group of people. So please come on over and see us sometime if you have the opportunity. It'll be really sweet. If you would like to help us in other ways, let's say helping us underwrite the financial costs that we incur in bringing the show to you, that would be very, very appreciated. And you can do so by going down to our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And there you will find the Emergency Hydration Fund, or our tip jar, where you can offer an expression of encouragement and support if you like what we do and you would like us to do more. And if you're interested in buying or doing business in a Canadian way, because our coffee page works with PayPal, then if you would like to send us just a direct transfer to True North Eager Beaver at gmail.com, that would be great. And based on a suggestion from the kit that had sent us the amount that I was not able to cash in at first, but has now been done, I've been able to set it on auto accept. So now we no longer have to worry about passwords.
No, just go straight
so
in.
there you go. So if you want to do Canadian and bonus, making sure that we get 100% of your donation, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, just send the transfer there. But our coffee application is still up. And of course, we still have the YouTube super chat functions and all that kind of stuff for you as well. So just donate as you will. We just like your donation information to be informed. If democracy is something that you do, so remember there's the Quebec Liberal leadership race. Find out there, the Ontario election, find out who your candidates there are, and of course the federal Liberal leadership race. If you are able to vote in there, people are going to start to have to verifying their information soon. If you've registered, you're going to have to show some ID. So right now they're saying about 400,000 people registered. Some people probably won't want to be showing some ID. That'll be less, and then some people that are not, people tried to game the system somehow or toy, they'll be vetted out. So we'll find out an actual number relatively soon enough, but that process is being taken care of right away. That's all for me, Mr. Grizzly, if you have some words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Well, I'll tell you something, my friends. We are looking at terrible things happening right now in real time south of our border in the United States of America. Something that I never thought would happen is happening as we sit here, and that is the complete destruction of their democratic process. The Republic will not stand much longer if Donald Trump is not removed from office. He has handed over millions of citizens' private information to Elon Musk.
Who's handed over to very, very, very young people who
don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're shutting down UNSED. They shut down NOAA. They're shutting down everything. They are completely dismantling democracy in real time in front of your eyes. He is doing what Hitler did. Hitler didn't start with gas chambers, folks. Remember that. He worked his way up. He didn't start that way. He didn't start invading countries. He worked his way up. This man, Trump, is talking about invading Canada, Greenland, Panama. He's already tried to rename the Gulf of Mexico. So where will he stop? I don't know. Project 2025 is happening in real time. He is turning America into Gilead. And that gets a lot of us down, myself included, because it was a once great democracy. As a matter of fact, a lot of European nations adopted many of the things that America was founded on. The difference is they kept them going. They stuck with them. Scandinavian countries looked at what the good things of the American democracy and said, we can do this. We'll do this. They went with the corporate tax levels. They increased systems to help prop up their economy and their people during tough times. Norway's sovereign wealth fund, I think, is worth $7 trillion. Trillion. Every single person that lives in Norway is a multimillionaire with that fund. What are they doing with the fund? They just keep adding to it. They don't withdraw from it, and they didn't during COVID because they were smart. They adopted the best things they saw around the world to make their country better for their citizens. And in turn, the United States of America has done what we would best call a backslide, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're turning it into 1750. They want to go back to the 50s, not the 1950s, the 1750s.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it rapidly. Again, I said he is trying to break Hitler's record of total destruction of democracy. He wants to do it within 53 days. You know how much he admired Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
So what I am saying is to Canadians, it's difficult to watch. It's difficult to see. It's heartbreaking. It's stressing us out. But we're still in Canada. And we have an opportunity in front of us to elect a man who will become whoever is the next Liberal leader. We have the opportunity to elect a man to become the next Liberal leader who will be the next Prime Minister, who could stand up to Trump. He's smarter than Trump. Shit, I think he's smarter than half of Congress combined. We have an opportunity to, well, for want of a better term, take back our country, the one that we believed in, the one we fought for, the one people
and our
died
flag.
for. Our flag. Like the man said, when you get the natives and the Quebecois saying, "Let's go Canada," that's telling. The country is united. This is not a time to elect a populist leader who has slogans and no solutions. This is a time to remain hopeful and steadfast in that hope.
Yeah.
What tomorrow brings, I do not know, but remain hopeful, because sometimes that's all we got. And that's all I've got to say.
And just a little note on that, Mr. Grizzly, very quickly. When you say Canadians are together, there's been some polling lately, and it says that I think over 80% of Canadians want oil on the table. And I think like 79% or over 70% of Albertans are quite okay with that. So Danielle Smith is on the complete. She has not read the room,
no,
at all,
and she won't
on that.
She won't.
So, but she doesn't have as many Albertans behind her as she thinks she does.
No, she does not.
All right, that's it, everyone. Bye. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
Just before we go, I have something that I wanted to share earlier, and I forgot about it, and I just looked over, and here it is in another tab I had open. I know I've been talking about a lot of doom and gloom, and we've been talking about that, and so is everybody everywhere right now. But here's something that should put a smile on your face.
25% tariffs for all of Canada.
Get fucked, bud. We don't even care. Miss Butterworth's a bitch. We'll just get syrup straight from the tree, you bag of milk looking Timbit.
Hey, no you won't. You need us.
The only thing I need is for you to tell Melania to get out of my DMs. I'm too busy with Ivanka teaching her what 10-ply means with pictures of Eric, you fucking pheasant.
Okay, that's a low blow. That's our first lady, and I'm not the one wearing a silly hat.
That's a good one, you fucking loser. Maybe I'll go down to the hospital and get my feelings checked for free. And the only low blow is the selfie Melania sent me. She's got more fucking eyeliner on than JD. Hey! Holy crap, who let that duster near the Chesterfield?
I've had just about enough of this.
And I've had enough of you telling people you don't need us. We gave you 62% of your oil, all your natural gas, and 90% of your electrical budget. And you did all of it while looking like you just finished a night shift at Timmy's.
It's fine. We can make our own energy.
No, you can't, dumbass. You think that I caused cancer.
Hey, you can't say that. I'm the president.
Just because you put a fucking clown in the White House doesn't mean he's the president. It just...
There you go. All right, looks like we lost Mr. Beaver's feed. I think his camera may have crapped out on him, but that's it. Have yourselves a great weekend, folks. Maybe, I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe this evening, if I'm feeling it, maybe a little casual Friday. Maybe. I don't know. Play it by ear. We'll see how we're feeling later on in the day. Okay, you take care. I got to go, and I'll see you real soon.